Chapter 242. She soon fell asleep in Li Hongyuan's arms. She was a little tightly wrapped around, but it didn't matter when she got used to it. So, this habit was really a terrible thing, but it was also a good thing. Even if she woke up a lot later in the morning, Jingwan didn't get enough sleep last night. So when she woke up naturally, it took her more than an hour longer than usual. As for Li Hongyuan, he didn't sleep that long. He couldn't resist the fact that he had a beauty in his arms. He could either empty his mind and close his eyes to take a nap, or stare blankly at Jingwan's sleeping face. He could pass the time. When Jingwan found out that she overslept again, she was a little annoyed. What was this? We didn't set the time to enter the palace, and Imperial Father didn't say anything. What's wrong with letting them wait a little longer? Li Hongyuan didn't care. How can it be the same? If they entered the palace according to the set time, they had to wait for Emperor Lu Chengdi to finish the morning court and deal with important government affairs. They could only be late, but not early. He was the father and the ruler of the world. When it came to serving tea, it was impossible to skip him to serve other people first. So when he summoned them, he would see them very quickly. He wouldn't care about when they arrived, especially his son who had a lot of bad records. These relatives were different. They completely put down their own things and waited there. As a newcomer, being late would definitely make them unhappy. This prince is already giving face by being willing to go. If you have any complaints, you have to hold it in for this prince. Jingwan silently covered her face. Well, she didn't know anything. She was a beautiful pure white lotus. If someone was willing to take the blame, and he didn't feel any pressure, then there was no need to be polite. She could just boldly throw it at him. Li Hongyuan seemed to have seen that Jingwan was gradually coming to her senses. However, he naturally couldn't take the blame alone. No matter what, he had to reciprocate politeness. But there was no hurry, he could take it slowly. Li Hongyuan curled his lips into a smile. Wan, if you do anything bad in the future, just blame it on this prince. If you have a request that this prince will turn to you, just accept it. However, remember to raise the bar high from the beginning. Don't let others be absolutely certain that begging for mercy is cheap and easy. It was truly intoxicating to have such a husband who made his wife so greedy. Gold, silver, jewelry, and so on, don't you have enough? Isn't it more valuable to have a favor? Li Hongyuan pinched the tip of Jingwan's nose. Wan is right, but it depends on the situation. Your husband can't brazenly let people owe favors now. Favors also mean connections. If there are too many, some people will be unhappy. It doesn't matter if it's troublesome or not, but it will take up my time. I'd rather accompany you if I have the leisure time. So, in most cases, it's better to settle the money and goods. As long as there are a few cases, I don't think I need to teach Wan what to do. Actually, it doesn't matter how you do it. I'm here for everything. Jingwan also knew the severity of the situation. She was just saying it casually. In fact, she would never interfere in things that she should not interfere in. However, this man gave her a strong backing and enough confidence. He even gave her the right to participate in court politics. This was no longer as simple as indulging her. Did he know what he was doing? Did Li Hongyuan not know what he was doing? Of course he knew. How could this kind of thing make him lose his mind? Li Hongyuan kissed her lips. One day, she would know what he was doing. He didn't mind using the rest of his life to give her the answer. Do you still want to go out? Otherwise, don't go and serve tea. They're not afraid of shortening their lives if they eat the tea you serve. Jingwan slapped his face and pushed his head away. She went into the room to change her clothes. Li Hongyuan smiled at Jingwan's disrespect. So, it was absolutely necessary to spend so much time to get close to her before the wedding. Otherwise, if it were a conventional way of getting along with each other, how could the newlywed be so casual and even unscrupulous on the second day of the wedding? Li Hongyuan really felt that he was too wise. Seeing that the clan relatives were outside the palace, everyone gathered in the house of the oldest ancestor, which was Li Hongyuan's great-granduncle. There were people inside and outside the house, including Li Hongyuan's brothers and sisters. However, whether they were married or not, there were also some Qin Wang, Jun Wang, Qin Wang Fei, Jun Wang Fei, and people who rarely showed themselves. As long as they were still in Lu Chengdi's family, they were all present at this time. In terms of status, except for those in the palace, there was probably no one more honorable than these people in the entire Qi Yuan. So many people were waiting for that pair of newlyweds. Knowing Li Hongyuan's virtue, some people had already arrived half a quarter of an hour late, and there were even more people who arrived on time. However, they still underestimated a certain person. After waiting for so long and drinking a bellyful of tea, their resentment was about to soar to the sky. They couldn't help but want to shake their hands and leave, but in the end, they still endured it. There was no other way, the rules had always been like this. If they left, not only would they not give face to Jin Qin Wang, they would also not give face to Lu Chengdi. That was equivalent to not giving face to the parents of food and clothing. Of course, there were also those who had a better attitude. In any case, there was nothing to do, so waiting was just waiting. Usually, there was still a lot of idle time. Moreover, the time for such a big family to gather was relatively rare. Even if they gathered in the palace on important holidays, there were too many rules, so it was better to be lively like this. By the time the main character arrived, no one dared to complain in front of him. They only snorted twice and curled their lips, but that living king of hell would coldly stare at them. Their bodies would stiffen, and they would uncomfortably turn their heads away, afraid of being stared at. Although there were many elders, there was not a single one who could make Li Hongyuan kneel and kowtow. It was already not bad to make him bow. Because there were many people, Jingwan received a lot of things, but there were also a lot of things that were sent out. Therefore, her own servant girls, as well as Li Hongyuan's original servant girls, were all dispatched. However, in the end, Jingwan still didn't know who exactly there were. There was no way to make all the preparations before the marriage. Who were the uncles and aunts? Who were the nephews and nieces? Except for the pouches on the outside, everything inside was prepared by Li Hongyuan. Jingwan completely didn't think that except for the imperial princes, princesses, imperial grandsons and imperial granddaughters, which took a bit of thought, the rest were all simply and crudely stuffed with banknotes. What made people even more speechless was that among these people, Li Hongyuan didn't even know how to address a small half of them. He also didn't know which generation they were, and they stood beside Jingwan with a cold expression. Jingwan didn't feel embarrassed. It was just that he was also very capable to be able to conduct himself like this. It was still the same sentence. Those with a good attitude would all smile and tell Jingwan, "I am Hongyuan" or something. Those with a bad attitude would pull a long face. They were obviously very angry, but they didn't dare to say anything. Under the reminder of others, Jingwan also called for people. Because the younger generation had to greet Jingwan first, this one was smart and directly introduced himself. The rest followed suit, and it was much smoother. It took more than 2 hours until it was completely done. It was really a bit tiring. This was the result of crazily spreading out branches and leaves. What made Jingwan more surprised was that there were a few people whose faces were a bit green. It looked like they had drunk too much. It was just that most of these people were at Jin Wangfu yesterday. Did they go crazy after drinking? A certain person was also crazy last night. He drank more wine than anyone else, but he was still in high spirits. Wasn't this difference a bit too big? Who knew that these people were all trying to get Li Hongyuan drunk? Instead, they were ruthlessly cheated by Li Hongyuan. The after effect of the wine was very strong. It was better if they weren't drunk at that time. If they were drunk at that time, they would feel uncomfortable for at least 3 days. Ordinary hangover soup and hangover medicine were completely useless. They were already very capable to be able to hold on and go out today. In fact, when they saw Li Hongyuan, they knew that they were cheated. No matter how good their alcohol tolerance was, they couldn't reach this level. But what could they do? They were the ones who went up, and he didn't force them. No matter how uncomfortable it was, they could only pinch their noses and accept it. I didn't know that Lao Lu's alcohol tolerance was so good. Let's have a good drink some other day. Li Hongming said with a smile. When the spirit wasn't good, the charm value would be greatly reduced. Forget it. Your sister-in-law said that drinking too much is harmful to the body. In the future, drink less. If you want to drink, don't look for me. Many people's eyes subconsciously looked at Jingwan. When did the living king of hell become so obedient? Jingwan pursed her lips and smiled but didn't say anything. She threw the blame to the other party. It was fine for her to help the other party carry the unimportant blame. Drinking too much was harmful to the body. Whether it was intentionally used to block people's mouths or not, it was good to have this awareness. It's naturally not a problem if you don't drink. It's still okay to get together. Li Hongming continued. A group of big men, what are you doing together if you don't drink? Not interested. Li Hongming wanted to vomit blood. When men gather together, what can they do if they don't drink? The one who has the least qualification to say this is you. Now you're actually pretending to be innocent here. Who are you pretending for? It's simply. Li Hongyuan looked at Jingwan. Jingwan was a little confused. What did he mean? Could it be that she had to carry the blame again? Hey, don't play people like this. Li Hongyuan didn't move his gaze away. Jingwan only felt her scalp go numb. If she didn't say something, wouldn't it be over? Or if she didn't go along with him, it wouldn't be over? Moreover, she couldn't tear down her own husband's stage. Wasn't that the same as slapping her own face? We're all brothers of the same family. It's still okay to simply keep in touch. Li Hongyuan nodded, with an expression that said, whatever Jingwan says, it's all right. Not to mention that everyone was dumbstruck, even Jingwan couldn't maintain the calm expression on her face. Her heart moaned in grief and pain. Grandmother, save me. Jin Wang wanted to play with his life with her. She couldn't bear it. Then I should invite you tomorrow. I still have to go to the Luo family tomorrow, so I'll take my leave first. Li Hongyuan's attitude was very good, which made people feel flattered. He pulled Jingwan and left on the spot. The people who stayed in place all looked at each other in dismay. In the end, what was he playing at? Jingwan also wanted to know what he wanted to do. Li Hongyuan raised an eyebrow. What are you doing? Aren't you helping Wan brush up a good impression? Was this how to brush up a good impression? This was clearly pushing her to the heart of the struggle. Then, noble consort Su would invite her for tea. She didn't know why, but Jingwan always had a bad feeling, as if something was about to be broken. Perhaps it wasn't just that. In short, her heart felt a little uncomfortable. Returning to Jin Wang Fu, there were indeed a lot of things that needed to be prepared for the return trip tomorrow. There weren't many people in the Luo family, but there definitely weren't few either. Those of Jingwan's generation who were married out would bring their husbands back. Calculating the time, the two of them were already stable, so the possibility of them not coming back was really too small. There were a lot of gifts to prepare, and it couldn't be done by just stuffing them with banknotes. However, when Jingwan knew about this, the gaze that she looked at Li Hongyuan was a little more subtle. Old man, you're the one who's wearing clothes, right? Big or small matters, as long as it was a gift, it would be directly solved with money. This essence was the crystallization of wisdom of the people in her previous life. Where did you learn it? It's convenient and saves trouble. Those people are also poor, so money is the most in line with their thoughts. Everything you say is right. Jingwan didn't want to argue with him anymore. He was always polite. Just as Jingwan was pondering how to gift, Gong Mama had already made a list for her. Jingwan was about to take it and look at it, but Li Hongyuan took it and very naturally hugged Jingwan to look at it together. It seemed that ever since she entered this house, she had never escaped from his embrace. Was it not possible to not hug? Li Hongyuan used his actions to tell her, no. Jingwan didn't struggle anymore. Gong Mama's list was very much in line with her intentions. However, the specific choice still needed to be considered. Everything had its own advantages and disadvantages. Li Hongyuan handed the things to Gong Mama, Tell Muan to open the inner treasury and take the best. Wang Ye, this won't do. Thinking about it, Jin Wangfu's inner treasury was equivalent to Li Hongyuan's private treasury. The things inside must be of the highest quality. This was really too precious. It wasn't that Jing Wan was stingy with her maternal family, but if they took it in their hands, it would be scalding. If outsiders knew about it, they would be attacked. Don't worry, the imperial gifts that can't be used are all sealed separately and won't violate the rules. No. All right, I know what you're worried about. Don't worry, Ben Wang's things. Ben Wang can give it to whoever Ben Wang wants. Other people have no right to interfere. Luo Jia raised you, but in the end, it benefited me. It's just some external things. How can it be compared to a living treasure like you? No matter how many things you give, it would be a loss for Luo Jia. I know that every time your grandfather sees Ben Wang, he grits his teeth and can't wait to give me a good beating. If I don't give him some compensation, perhaps when I visit tomorrow, he will really take action. Jingwan's cheeks reddened, glib tongue. This skill of sweet-talking should have been maxed out long ago. It's no wonder that he could play such a high-level game like Shang Dote. Don't slander my grandfather. He is a cultured person and also has the strength of a scholar. He doesn't care about your worldly things. Since it's worldly things, then it's even less of a problem. I can give more. Jingwan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. That's enough. Wan, you're not qualified to be a married daughter. Other married daughters would try their best to move things to their parents' home, wishing that they could empty their husband's home. Unlike you, who would use all sorts of excuses to refuse your husband's gift. Jingwan, naturally, Granny Gong wouldn't hesitate to choose the best things. When facing Li Hongyuan, the word polite didn't exist in her dictionary. After seeing the last item, Li Hongyuan once again educated Jingwan. In this aspect, you should learn from your granny. Don't be so stingy, okay? Your husband doesn't have anything else, but he has a lot of money and these things. Was she being stingy? Was she? Jingwan couldn't be bothered to look at him anymore. That night, although Li Hongyuan didn't do the full set, he didn't let Jingwan off the hook either. The hungry wolf whose eyes were already green with hunger had completely eaten meat. How could you expect him to be a vegetarian? The reason why he let Jingwan off the hook was purely because Jingwan had her first pleasure the night before and was indeed injured. So, it's not good for this man to be too majestic? Jingwan smacked his face again. This shameless man. The next day, Jingwan didn't wake up late. As usual, she spent quite a bit of time doing morning exercises. Li Hongyuan watched from beginning to end for the first time. He also truly witnessed Jingwan's flexibility and toughness. It wasn't difficult for her to form a circle. He stroked her small buttocks. Oh, it really couldn't be any better. Jingwan got up and saw his half-closed eyes with an intoxicated appearance. Jingwan's back felt a chill. It seemed that she had done something stupid. She threw the handkerchief at hand over and covered his face. Scoundrel, can't you think of anything else other than perverted material? Li Hongyuan didn't immediately take down the handkerchief. Instead, he covered his face and took 2 breaths. It was full of Jingwan's scent. Jingwan, Luo Jingbua came to the door, preparing to bring Jingwan back home. Jin Qin Wang Fu prepared a sumptuous breakfast. Before breakfast, Luo Jingbua received 3 sets of tea and pastries. During breakfast, Li Hongyuan gave the head seat to him. The eldest brother-in-law sitting at the head seat was only in an ordinary family. The imperial family didn't have such a rule. Therefore, Luo Jingbua felt as if he was sitting on pins and needles. This wasn't glory, it was suffering. Jingwan didn't say anything and didn't want to say anything. Li Hongyuan definitely had a reason to refute her. She just mourned for her elder brother. After breakfast, everything was prepared. Although the two didn't wear coronation robes or formal attire, they still used the Qinhuang ceremonial guards. This wasn't to show off or anything else. On the contrary, it was to show that they valued Luo Jia. Other than Luo Peishan, the rest of the Luo Jia went out to greet them, including the two sisters who had already brought their family back. When they saw the ceremonial guards gradually approaching, the men and women of the large family who were still relatively idle separated and stood properly. Li Hongyuan got down from the carriage first and stood in the same place. He very naturally reached out to help Jingwan down. Whether it was good or bad, the subtleties revealed the truth. Old Madame Luo was very gratified, but her heart was a little sour. This was the treasure that she had raised for more than 10 years. It was said that this mother-in-law was unhappy because the daughter-in-law stole her son. Then what about the bride's family? They had painstakingly raised their daughter. After marriage, it was rare to see her, so wouldn't they be even more unhappy? Therefore, after marrying their daughter, they should treat her well. Greetings to Wang Yi and Wang Fei. Jin Yi and Wang Fei. Dispense with the formalities. Seeing her relatives salute her, Jingwan had an urge to cry. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653377. HTML chapter error. Click here to report. No registration required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bicken.com. Biku Gur mobile reading website, bicken.com. Chapter 243. After entering the Luo residence, Jingwan and Li Hongyuan separated. Li Hongyuan might not have the patience to deal with the other members of the Luo family, but he had to give Jingwan time to talk to her family. If he did not give her time, he would probably really make his wife hate him. His experience was different, and he was at a different level from his peers. Problems that were difficult for others to solve might be child's play in his eyes. Therefore, whether it was Jingwan's brothers, his brother-in-law, or even Jingwan's father, it was fine for them to talk about romantic affairs. If they talked about important matters or the current situation, others would argue in full swing, and he would probably be so bored that he wanted to sleep. In these matters, Luo Peishan was probably the only one in the Luo family who could keep up with his pace. Unfortunately, he was not here. In addition, Jingwan's grandfather could more or less say a few words, but that old man knew that he was not qualified to talk to Li Hongyuan with the attitude of an elder, and there were only juniors here, so he did not join in the fun. Therefore, everyone slowly stopped talking. They would not think that Li Hongyuan felt that it was too simple and did not want to talk, but only that he did not understand. Therefore, it was inevitable that they would look down on him more and more in their hearts. Especially Luo Rongyan, he was very indignant in his heart. How could his daughter marry such a person? But he did not think about himself and how he had improved. Jingwan's uncle and others, because they did not know the situation, only thought that Li Hongyuan was a noble and did not bother to talk to them. On the contrary, they were more restrained and unrestrained, adhering to the principle of using more ears and less mouth. However, no matter how much they had opinions about Li Hongyuan, they did not dare to show the slightest bit. But what kind of person was Li Hongyuan? With such obvious emotions, he did not need to guess or look to know what they were thinking. Luo Peishan was a sly old fox, and he was very capable. However, he could not train his sons well. In order to give his wife a strong family, he had to let him train his brothers-in-law well. After a few years, they would be able to use them. Therefore, the grandchildren of the Luo family had gradually been subjected to the high-pressure policies of their grandfather. In some unknown place, there was an even more tragic homework waiting for them. Changing the topic, this side was still harmonious and harmonious. Jingwan's side naturally didn't need to be said. Luo Lao Furen didn't directly ask whether Jingwan was well or whether Jin Qinhuang treated her well. Whether someone was good or bad could often be seen with one's eyes. It was even more obvious on Jingwan. She hadn't put on any makeup, so everything could be seen at a glance. Furthermore, it was rare for newlyweds to have a bad relationship. Basically, it belonged to the type of newlyweds where the husband already had someone in his heart or by his side. The marriage was not out of his heart. He would subconsciously or even deliberately neglect his wife, which would make the grand aunt's face sad when she returned home. The Luo family's parents were strict, so the probability of this happening to the married girls was very low. Whether it was Jingwan or Luo Lao Foreign, they didn't want to create an atmosphere of not being a family. When Jingwan returned to the Luo family, she was still a member of the Luo family and not a guest. Under the deliberate efforts of the two, the estrangement caused by the change in status of Jingwan gradually disappeared. They still treated her as their family's third girl, still treated her as a good younger sister and elder sister. Even if she became a Wang Fei, this did not change. The group of little people happily opened their gifts. In addition to the gifts that were specially prepared for them, there was also a large pile of various toys. From the small things that they could only hold firmly when they were a few months old, to the big things that they could find in their early teens, they could find things that they liked. Rich and colorful, there were all kinds of things that they had never seen before. It could be seen that the source of these things was very wide. "Your Highness is so considerate." Jingwan smiled but didn't say anything. Could she say that these things actually had nothing to do with a certain king of hell? It was accumulated by the loyal and dutiful eunuch Mu. For the sake of the future young heir and young princess of the Luo family, he started a few years ago. It could be said that he worked as a personal attendant and a head steward, worrying about his mother's heart. Jingwan originally thought that things for children should be mainly toys, but then eunuch Mu very flatteringly presented his treasures. On the other hand, Madame Wang and the others felt that these things were too expensive and a little bit afraid to accept them. Not to mention, Jingwan's maternal grandmother, who received the same things as Luo Lao Foreign, felt that it was even more troublesome. Luo Lao Foreign waved her hand. "Just accept it as a gift. Mother-in-law, take it as a filial piety from Jingwan as your granddaughter." Her awareness was much higher than Jingwan's. Jingwan didn't say anything. Since her grandmother felt that there was no problem, why should she blindly worry? It was said that the hand that received gifts was short, especially the womenfolk of the Luo family. Big and small, the good things that they received from Jingwan were not few in number. When they treated her, they would naturally be more eager and careful. Luo Lao Foreign dismissed them all, including Zhong She and her daughter. Grandparent and grandchild chatting was a daily routine in the past. Although she was assured of Jingwan, and it seemed that Jin Qinhuang's enthusiasm for Jingwan didn't show any signs of fading, but the worry in her heart wouldn't disappear because of this. The most important point was, Wan, you are still young. If possible, give birth to another child in 2 years. Between husband and wife, it's best to be open and say it directly. Don't hide it. Many things are because you don't say it, causing some irreconcilable misunderstandings. About the child, Wang Ye also said that my body's bones haven't grown yet. Let's wait for 2 more years. As for the other things, grandmother can rest assured. I know what to do. In fact, there was nothing to know. Some things couldn't be controlled by humans. That's good. Also, Jin Qinhuang is not as bad as the rumors say. Don't listen to what others say, especially people related to you. You should feel and experience it yourself, and not listen to what others say. Jingwan took Luo Lao Foreign's arm. Grandmother, don't worry. I know. Don't worry about me. You have to take care of yourself and live a long life. Not only do you have to watch me give birth, but also watch my child grow up and start a family. Then wouldn't I become an old witch? Luo Lao Foreign laughed. What's wrong with being an old witch? How many people want to be like that? You are. I won't say any more. Your future path, you have to walk on your own. Those flowers and plants in Begonia House, when you go back today, take them back to the Wangfu. Leave them in the Luo family to ruin. That's fine. It wasn't that she didn't want to leave them, but the flower slaves were always careful and raised too carefully. They didn't grow as well as those in her hands. Those were her treasures. It's just that grandfather will be sad. Why do you care about him? You don't have the ability to take care of them, but you still pretend. Jingwan chuckled and remained silent. This was the fun of the old couple. Jingwan left Luo Lao Foreign's place and went to see her mother. Her grandmother was also in Luo Mei House. When Madame Zhang saw Jingwan, she was like a flood breaking through the dike. Ever since she knew that she was actually very incompetent as a mother, she didn't think about how to improve their relationship. Instead, she cried more and more. It seemed that as long as she cried, everything could be remedied. As a result, she became more and more sentimental. She became more and more sorrowful, which made her more poetic. Except that the husband and wife became more and more congenial, she was almost completely hopeless. When Jingwan saw Madame Zhang like this, she had the urge to turn around and leave. Jingwan's grandmother was also angry. Before her daughter got married, although she was a little sad, it was only a little. After she got married, she would definitely get better. After all, a girl in the boudoir was completely different from a married woman. But now, she was getting worse and worse. Not to mention the daughter who had been separated for a few years, even the son who was by her side seemed distant and polite to his parents. Didn't this pig's brain notice it? If Jingwan knew what her grandmother was thinking, she would probably tell her that her mother's brain was filled with her father. As long as she had her father, she would probably be able to spend a lifetime with him. Now that her father seemed to have changed his mind about women, wasn't it worse? Madame Zhang was suppressed by her mother. Jingwan and the old lady had a good talk, and the relationship between them became a lot closer. Finally, Jingwan thought about it and opened her mouth. Both uncles are good. Grandmother and grandfather don't need to worry. Not to mention a meteoric rise, but to revitalize the family, it is still possible to continue the Zhang family. The old lady stared blankly and immediately understood Jingwan's meaning. She almost cried, "Good, good, good. Our family has benefited from Wan's glory. In the future, in the future. Grandmother, we are all one family. Moreover, the main thing is that both uncles are good." The old lady was very clear about Jingwan's meaning. If there was a problem, she would never help. Your two uncles are definitely good. If there is a bad one, your grandfather and I will break their legs. Grandmother's words are too serious. After the old lady was happy, she hesitated. Wan just got married, is it not good? Grandmother doesn't need to worry. It's fine. She and Jean Qinhuang just got married. It was the same and different from other people. She only sought some benefits for her relatives within a reasonable range. She didn't feel that it was inappropriate. If the distinction was too clear, it would seem estranged. The people of the present world talked about the good of two surnames and the binding of common interests. Jingwan bid them farewell and left. However, before she could find Sun Yijia and the others to talk to, she had already, coincidentally met, quite a few people. She was getting married. Other than the Zhang family, there were also some relatives in the residence. Whether it was out of curiosity or with ulterior motives, they were basically taking the place of the fallen, one after another. Now, Jingwan just wanted to find a quiet place to hide. Therefore, when Jingwan saw the black brocade-robed cold-faced king of hell, it was as if she saw her savior. Li Hongyuan's aura was too strong. The average person really didn't have the guts to get close. Wang Ye. Jingwan knelt down to greet him. Li Hongyuan reached out and pulled her closer. You and I are husband and wife. There is no need to be so polite. Etiquette cannot be discarded. Why did Wang Ye come to the Hoyuan? Want to see the place where Wang Fei used to live. So, this concubine will take Wang Ye around. Jingwan lightly smiled. But this pretentious way of getting along with each other made some familiar people feel their stomachache. But in the eyes of those who didn't know, these two people pretended to be very stylish. They were worthy of being the descendants of the heavens. There were no outsiders. Li Hongyuan laughed and scratched Jingwan's nose. Since you don't want to deal with it, just ignore it. In any case, you are related by blood. The other person didn't do anything excessive. At the very least, etiquette is still needed. Do you think everyone is like you? You just became a Wang Fei and you are already high and mighty. You are also damaging the imperial family's face. Marry a husband and follow the husband. If Wan doesn't want to pay attention to someone, then there is no need to pay attention to them. Jingwan gave him a small supercilious look. Inside the begonia house, Jingwan began to tidy up the flowers and plants. Some of them needed to be dug up again. Facing the lush Wei Zi, Li Hongyuan's expression didn't look very good. He knew very well where this thing came from. Leave this peony here. In the backyard of the prince's mansion, there are all 4 famous flowers. Jingwan was surprised. She didn't expect this person to collect flowers and plants. But it doesn't matter if there is one more. The Luo family painstakingly raised you. Why are you not even willing to leave behind a rare flower, so that your grandfather can have something to remember? Last year, he showed off a lot of your flowers and plants. This year, he didn't even have a single rare flower. He will scold you for being ungrateful. Li Hongyuan righteously lectured. Jingwan was a little confused. Was this the man who gave her all the good things? The change in style was a little too fast. Jingwan looked at him. No, there was a problem. Your Highness, just say it. Why don't you let me take it away? Li Hongyuan's face darkened. What did his wife mean? Was she talking to him like this because of a peony? Or was it because this peony was given by Sun Yilin, so she couldn't bear to part with it? These roots of trouble should all be chopped off. Jingwan was very curious. What was going on? She was just asking for the reason. Why did his face darken? If you like it, this prince will have people help you get it from other places. You can have as many as you want. Forget about this one. No, why? Your Highness, give me a reason. There is no reason. Li Hongyuan flung his sleeves and went back into the room. Jingwan was stunned. What was going on? He fell out with her just like that? Jingwan was a little annoyed. Princess Consort, does His Highness know where this peony came from? Nurse Gong faintly reminded her. Where it came from? Jingwan belatedly realized that this man was jealous. She remembered that he wanted to kill her directly in the past. Jingwan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Nurse Gong, how can a man like him be so childish? He's clearly making trouble for no reason. Moreover, it's just a matter of a sentence. He can just say it directly. Why is he still making trouble with me? Nurse Gong was also incompetent at ridiculing him. He probably doesn't want to talk about that young Master Sunday. Jingwan face-bombed. Was there a need to avoid it like this? Am I such a person in his eyes? Jingwan only felt very wronged. She just couldn't bear to part with this flower. What did it have to do with the person who gave it to her? She didn't think about this at all. His Highness knows that Princess Consort isn't such a person. His Highness is purely using this as a pretext to make a fuss and ask for benefits from you. Should I say that Nurse Gong is indeed a shrewd person? You can even tell. Jingwan ridiculed. It's His Highness himself. It's not the first time he's done this. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653380. HTML. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book. www.bicken.com. Bicken. Bicken. Com Mobile Edition Reading Website. Bicken. Com. Chapter 244. It's Prince himself. It's not the first time he's done something like this. Nurse Gong said with a straight face. That's right, it's not the first time he's done something like this. Forget it. No matter what, he's my husband. We're going to spend the rest of our lives together. It's not like we're just friends on the surface. No matter how precious these flowers are, it's impossible for them to surpass him. She reached out to touch a leaf near the peony. Just leave this Wei Zi here. Someone will take care of it. It's just that the jar of vinegar is jealous to this extent. Right now, he doesn't like flowers given by other people. She can't let it develop to the point where he's hostile towards everything that occupies his time. Speaking of which, Jingwan was just casually thinking about it. Who knew that? Jingwan entered the room. A certain person was very familiar with her room. Right now, he acted as if nothing had happened. He pretended to flip through a book, as if the content of the book was too fascinating. He didn't notice that Jingwan had entered at all. Who is this childish brat? Jingwan was helpless and amused. She walked in front of him twice, but there was still no reaction. Jingwan raised her brows. She turned to leave, but a certain person threw the book in his hand away. He grabbed her wrist and pulled her into his arms. He clasped her chin, his eyes filled with ruthlessness. You're this insincere and impatient? Is a lousy flower more important than this prince? Do you believe that this prince won't burn it down? For those who didn't know or had just interacted with him, Li Hongyuan's behavior was very frightening. However, they had interacted before the engagement, and after the engagement, they interacted even more frequently. Moreover, he had treated her differently from the start. It wasn't like he didn't reveal his frightening and ruthless side in front of her. She had even seen him kill people like the god of death. At first, she might have been afraid, but after a while, the angry Li Hongyuan was no different from a paper tiger in Jingwan's eyes. Jingwan looked at him and suddenly laughed. Li Hongyuan's gaze became even more malicious. Is this prince a joke in your eyes? Jingwan suddenly leaned forward and pressed her lips against his. Li Hongyuan's hostility melted like ice and snow, quickly disappearing. He held Jingwan's waist with one hand and the back of her head with the other. He deepened the kiss until Jingwan struggled and gasped for breath, then he let go of her. He rubbed her lips with his thumb until Jingwan grabbed his mischievous hand. Their eyes met, and something seemed to be burning in them. Jingwan was actually reflecting on herself. This man was undoubtedly good to her. Although she wasn't 100% sure, she was 90% sure that she wasn't a substitute. His feelings for her were inexplicable, but they were real. Even if it was an act, to be able to act to this extent, it wouldn't make anyone feel indifferent. Right now, she couldn't reciprocate his feelings, but in other areas, she could still treat him a little better. For example, if it was something that he didn't like but wouldn't touch her bottom line, then there was no harm in giving in a little. Yuan. Women should be reserved. She was moved for less than 3 seconds. Jingwan's face cracked. Reserved. You should be reserved for this great aunt to see. Jingwan pushed his hand away and angrily got up to leave. Li Hongyuan chuckled, all his anger gone. The flowers and plants that Jingwan was going to take away had already been packed. There were quite a lot of people at the luncheon. Li Hongyuan naturally sat at the head of the male guests' table, and Jingwan also sat at the head of the female guests' table because of her status. Although there were some things that she did not want to change, she had to change them. There was nothing to be conflicted about, just let nature take its course. An ordinary son-in-law would definitely be forced to drink at this homecoming banquet. But now, naturally, no one dared to do so. However, the Zhang family probably already knew about Jingwan's promise from old Madame Zhang, so they mustered up the courage to toast Li Hongyuan. Li Hongyuan also gave them face and drank it all. As for the others who followed suit, Li Hongyuan directly refused. Therefore, it was enough to make people feel flattered. Since he refused, then so be it. After the luncheon, Li Hongyuan left the Luo family because his wife refused to accompany him and he was bored. However, Jingwan and the others naturally asked him to move their treasures back first. Their attitude was too natural. Jingwan did not feel that there was anything wrong. Li Hongyuan nodded and asked people to go to Begonia House to move their things. He also did not feel that there was anything wrong. In the eyes of others, it was different. Even if it was an ordinary husband and wife, there was no wife ordering the husband around, let alone in the imperial family. Everyone's gaze towards Jingwan was a bit subtle. Should it be said that she had the skill to control her husband? Jingwan was baffled by their gaze, but no one brought it up. Jingwan spent the afternoon in the Luo family. When it was close to evening, Jean Wangfu's carriage came to pick her up. It was not the previous Wang Fu's ceremonial procession. It did not look as imposing, but it was far less luxurious than the average family. Everyone sent her off. Facing the greetings of her relatives and elders, Jingwan slowly took a breath and endured it. Moreover, she could not open her mouth to let them go back first. They must watch her carriage leave before they would turn around. Jingwan was helped into the carriage. Just as she entered, "Wang Ye, why are you here?" "Naturally, to pick you up." To be able to ask such a question, it could be seen that his daughter-in-law was not that intelligent. Forget it, she was already married to him, so there was no need to dislike her. He would just slowly train her. Some things had to be slowly learned. The people outside did not hear what was said afterwards. Regardless, Jean Wang Fu, who had left after the lunch banquet, specially came to pick her up at this time. It was enough to see how much importance Jean Wang Fu attached to his Wang Fei. "All right, seeing that you are good to our family's Gunyang, we will forgive your ignorance." The Luo family's elders and young masters all simultaneously expressed such thoughts. When there were no outsiders, Li Hongyuan always liked to hold her. Jingwan was already used to it. As for the people who served by her side, to put it nicely, they were treated as their own people. To put it bluntly, Li Hongyuan did not care about them at all. Thinking about it, the power of these people's life and death was in their own hands. They were no different from other properties. In Li Hongyuan's eyes, they were probably just decorations that could move and do things. Jingwan quietly nestled in his arms. While playing with his fingers, she talked about the matters of her maternal family. "It's a small matter, I will arrange it." Li Hongyuan paused for a moment. "Don't worry, it won't go through your grandfather. Once you marry into the prince's mansion, there will be people who want to curry favor with you. It's a matter of course for them to casually arrange jobs for your uncles. Although your grandfather is now in a high position, he is also walking the path of a pure official. Everything is done according to the official's rules. This kind of private matter is not easy to start, and once it starts, it is not easy to finish. This is a matter of fawning on several sides. As long as there is a bit of maneuvering, there will be many people willing to help. In any case, they are all insignificant and small officials. They can't cause any waves. And with Wang Ye, this great Buddha, supporting them, no matter where my uncles are, there will be people looking after them. They don't have to worry about being bullied. Biaoge and the others can also study well." Jingwan chuckled. This great Buddha, can shelter you from the wind and rain, no problem." It was more than no problem, it couldn't be better. If you can help, help. But if you do something wrong, Wang Ye doesn't need to let others take responsibility. No matter what, they can't be more important than you. Although the last few words were almost inaudible, Li Hongyuan was still in a good mood. This was probably the most romantic words that Wan had ever said. It was really a good sign. After returning home, the bride officially became a member of the husband's family. But she didn't have any special privileges. She had to cook, wash her hands, make soup, and serve the old and young of the family. Of course, this was for ordinary people. For Jingwan, this was useless. Whether or not Jingwan knew how to cook, Li Hongyuan would not let her cook. However, Jingwan could officially take over the Wang Fu. In the flower pavilion, many stewards of the Wang Fu were already there. They stood respectfully with their heads lowered, waiting for the arrival of their mistress. These people had long been used to there being no mistress in the Wang Fu, and the power was in their hands. Because there was only one mistress in the Wang Fu, there were only a few people who could serve her closely. The others, including the stewards present, might not be able to see her even once in a year. The mistress was rich and not stingy. As long as she wasn't particularly greedy, there was plenty of money in each position. Although they had long known that there would be a mistress entering the Wang Fu, when the day came, they were still unhappy. They even hoped that Jingwan would be jinxed by the Wang Fu like the previous ones. However, this woman's life was too hard. She had been engaged for half a year and then firmly married into the Wang Fu. If this mistress's temperament was generous, it would be fine. If she was strict or even mean, their good days would come to an end. After all, the Wang Fu had brought her dowry, and someone had to give up their position for them. Placing their own people in various positions in the husband's family was something that every mistress would do. It was also helpful for them to gain a firm foothold in the husband's family. All these made them nervous, but they didn't dare to show the slightest negative emotion on their faces, let alone whispering to the mistress. It was true that they had been in the Wang Fu for a long time, but they didn't have any affection for Li Hongyuan. Therefore, they didn't dare to act rashly in front of the Wang Fu. More importantly, the chief steward had already warned them. When they heard a slight noise, everyone knew that the mistress had arrived. They became more respectful. Out of the corner of their eyes, they saw that there were 6 or 7 people following behind her slightly fluttering clothes. Jingwan sat down at the head of the table and said a few words. The general idea was that they were all in the Wang Fu, and in the future, they would be conscientious and do their jobs well. If they did well, they would be rewarded, and if they didn't, they would be punished. Jingwan's voice was neither soft nor heavy, and her words were not harsh either. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief in their hearts. I won't refer to you one by one according to the roster. Come one by one, say your names, and tell me which department you are in charge of. I'll get familiar with you first. Your Highness, I'm Muan, the chief steward of the Wang Fu. Eunuch Mu, who was standing by the side, was the first to step forward. He was as respectful as he could be, and even a little flattering. Jingwan saw his fawning look the most clearly and was rather speechless. Speaking of which, this person was still very normal in front of his master and looked like a shrewd person. Why was his style different when he was with her? However, the others were awestruck. Eunuch Mu was the most proud person of the prince, and all the servants in the Wang Fu respected him. However, his attitude toward the princess showed the prince's attitude to a certain extent. At this moment, they put away all their thoughts. The second master of the prince's mansion was at the same level as the prince. No, for them, her status was even higher. After all, the prince didn't care about anything, but the princess could often see him. If they accidentally offended the princess or did something wrong, their fate could be changed with a word. Therefore, the people behind became more and more respectful, and those who were eloquent did not forget to compliment Jingwan. Jingwan also knew the reason. Although she was a little speechless about Muan, he really saved her a lot of trouble. Jingwan listened quietly. In the end, 3 people walked out from a corner. These 3 people were clearly different from the others. There were 2 women and 1 man. One of the women looked to be in her 30s, and the other 2 were even younger, in their early 20s. However, these 3 men were handsome and beautiful. They were very good-looking. Because they came forward, the others retreated with disdain. However, there were also the stewards of the outer courtyard who glanced at the 2 women with lustful eyes. And when they faced Jingwan, they were even more nervous and perturbed. Even if the older one looked calm on the surface, one could still see her uneasiness if one looked closely. This servant is Chao Nyang, in charge of the prince's mansion's performers. This servant is In, in charge of the prince's mansion's female troupe. This servant is Qing Yi, in charge of the prince's mansion's male troupe. Jingwan immediately understood. No wonder it was like this. Probably no woman would like the fox spirit, raised by her own husband. Especially with Jin Qinhuang's reputation, he ate both men and women. It was natural for these people to be worried that the new mistress would flare up. It sounded like these people were someone's harem. How many people are you in charge of? https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653383. HTML chapter error. Click here to report. No registration required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bicken.com. Bicken.com mobile edition reading website. Bicken.com. Chapter 245. Chao Nyong answered very quickly. She had more than 30 people under her. Jingwan was interested and asked a few more questions. Then, she found out what she wanted to know. Most of them were multi-talented, and some of them were particularly outstanding in a certain aspect. For example, they had a golden voice, or they had an extremely enchanting and charming figure as they danced. Another example was that their attainments in a certain musical instrument were at the level of a great master. Jingwan propped up her chin and was quite interested. Thinking about it, she knew that those who could stay in Jin Qin Wang Fu, their appearance was probably not bad. Perhaps all of them were more beautiful than Jingwan. If these people were placed in her previous life, 9 out of 10 of them would have been praised as goddesses. However, in this place, not only were they reduced to the lowest of the low, they were even playthings that others could play with. Their fates were completely out of their control. Thinking of this, Jingwan's interest also faded. If they were well behaved, she didn't mind raising a group of idlers. As for Li Hongyuan, to be honest, if a man wanted to cheat, it wasn't something that you could control or prevent. Especially when male power reigned supreme, saying one more word could be seen as jealousy and become a reason for being abandoned. So why bother? However, some words should be appropriately mentioned. For some men, feelings and bodies were separated. His love for you was not fake, but he also didn't think that there was anything wrong with sleeping with other women. Therefore, she should let him know her own position and thoughts. What choice he would make in the end, it was entirely up to him. Then, she would also know whether she should wholeheartedly manage this marriage and even their feelings, or be a pure virtuous wife and loving mother. From now on, they were like strangers. Although they didn't dare to stare straight at Jingwan, the people below still carefully observed Jingwan's expression. Obviously, Jingwan's change in expression made them think crookedly and naturally became more uneasy. Most of the people who stayed in Jin Qin Wang Fu thought that this was a good place to return to. Jin Qin Wang was often elusive and would occasionally appear to admire a dance, listen to a song, or listen to 1 or 2 plays. There was nothing else. The rumor that there was a flute every night was a joke. Jin Qin Wang did take 1 or 2 people with him and then heard how they were favored. But after a few days, there was no news. Those who had crooked thoughts and leaned on him didn't have a good ending. Gradually, they also understood that being well-behaved and honest, doing what they should do, then they could settle down and live their lives. Moreover, in Jin Qin Wang Fu, no one made things difficult for them. In the eyes of outsiders, Jin Qin Wang was malicious and ruthless, with unpredictable moods, but in their eyes, Jin Qin Wang was a good master. He didn't deliberately do anything, but protected them. Therefore, they really didn't want to be driven out. Jingwan didn't ask about the theatrical troupe anymore. However, since there was a distinction between men and women, then there shouldn't be any confusion. Jingwan nodded, indicating that she understood and let them retreat to one side for the time being. Then Jingwan understood the situation in all aspects and pondered for a moment. Like this, you can send the account books for nearly a year later to the main courtyard. Both the open and the dark account books will be together. When these words came out, there was a small commotion below. Wang Fei, how can this account book be open and dark? Jingwan took a look. That was the steward who was in charge of the kitchen. Before, there was only one master in the Wang Fu, Li Hongyuan. The things he ate had a special channel. In this aspect, the purchasing steward couldn't scrape any profit. But don't forget, there were hundreds of people in the Wang Fu. Someone like Mu An, who served the master closely, was not worse than other people's masters. This piece was really very fat. If he didn't speak so hoarsely, maybe he would be more credible. I just want to have a look. I'm not going to do anything. If you really don't have any secret accounts, then forget it. Just take whatever you have. Jingwan said softly and took another sip of tea. However, these stewards' hearts were beating like drums. She had said so and given them a choice, but who knew if she was speaking the truth or being sarcastic? If they did not do as she wished, perhaps she would use this opportunity to remove them and replace them with her own position. This Wang Fei was a bit too powerful. But how could they take out the secret accounts? Eunuch Mu stared at these people with unkind eyes. They didn't know what was good for them. They just did whatever the Wang Fei said. They were really too relaxed. They didn't even know their names. They really needed to be taught. Jingwan reached out and gently knocked on the small square table next to her. She glanced at Eunuch Mu lightly. Eunuch Mu hurriedly restrained his expression and pretended to say, "Your Highness, I'm very honest and well-behaved. You don't have to do everything by yourself. Just give the order. However, I'll say the ugly words first. If anyone gets into trouble, the higher-ups will be punished as well. The punishment will be doubled for the higher-ups and quadrupled for the higher-ups. You can't do it more than 3 times. If you do it more than 3 times, you'll lose your job. If you want to be promoted again, you'll have to compete with your own ability. Of course, it's a healthy competition. If you want to play tricks, it's fine. However, you have to be prepared to be kicked out of the prince's mansion once you're found out." This time, everyone was shocked. "Your Highness, this is against the rules." Eunuch Mu wanted to stand up, but he immediately restrained himself. Who was His Highness that she still needed his support? It was simply a joke. Maybe Master would cut him to death later. I don't care about the previous rules. From now on, the big and small matters of Jin Qin Wang Fu are the rules. Do you have any objections? Since a certain someone had handed over the prince's mansion to her to manage, it was natural to follow her rules. She had already said this. What objections could they have? Even if they had to hold it in. Jingwan nodded and continued to speak. After a few days, I will figure out the situation of the prince's mansion. I will probably set up 2 deputies for each steward. You can also consider it yourselves. As long as you have the ability, you won't stick to one pattern. Deputy, no matter what they did, they could be an assistant, but naturally, they could also be a constraint. To put it bluntly, it was probably a check and balance. This time, they didn't dare to say anything. They all said that a new broom sweeps clean, but this fire burned too fiercely. The last point, you can only stay in your position for a year. After a year, you can choose again. It's up to you to choose. Whether you continue to sit in your position or be overthrown by others, it will all depend on your own ability. This time, each and every one of them were smashed until they saw stars. So, Wan, are you still not done? Li Hongyuan's arrival made everyone hurriedly greet him, but Li Hongyuan simply ignored them. Jingwan tilted her head and got up. Why did Wang Ye come? Li Hongyuan pulled Jingwan's hand. Ben Wang hasn't seen you come back for a long time, so Ben Wang came to see. Is the matter very troublesome? Just throw it to them. There's no need to personally attend to everything. If they can't do a small thing well, just change them. It doesn't matter if there are more people in the prince's mansion, but if they can't share master's burdens, there's no need for them to exist. Jingwan's words made them worry, but Li Hongyuan directly made them keep quiet out of fear. If you don't like these people, you can just replace them with your dowry. It's not that serious. Moreover, with just this concubine's few people, it's not enough to split one person in half. They are all old people in the prince's mansion and are familiar with everything in the prince's mansion. If they were all changed, wouldn't it be a mess? Besides, there's no wrong here. How can you casually dismiss people? In Wang Ye's eyes, this concubine is a nepotistic and unreasonable person? Jingwan knew that he had her back, so she was naturally very cooperative. Li Hongyuan reached out and pinched the tip of her nose. You really don't have a conscience, treating my good intentions as ill intent. Who is this prince doing this for? It seemed like he was reprimanding her, but his tone and actions were exceptionally intimate. They had never seen Li Hongyuan like this before. It could be seen that Wang Fei had a high position in his heart. Didn't Wang Ye say that he would leave all the big and small matters of the prince's mansion to this concubine? Yes, I'll leave it all to you. You have the final say in everything. Jingwan smiled and then said to the people below, let's end it here for today. Send the account books to the main courtyard as soon as possible. You can disperse. What should be said had been said. Smart people should know what she meant, so there was no need for unnecessary nonsense. On the contrary, Li Hongyuan directly pulled Jingwan away. Now that there was nothing to do, he just took her to stroll around the courtyard. Although she hadn't walked around carefully, Jingwan could roughly see that there were many courtyards in Jin Wangfu, but there were fewer houses built. It was full of corridors and pavilions, flowers and trees, mountains and rivers. The courtyards weren't separated by mud. It was simply a large garden. The layout was beautiful, the design was exquisite, and nothing more beautiful. When there was nothing to do, there were many places to spend time in this mansion. The prince's mansion is built in a unique style and is not the same as other manors. Jingwan's eyes were full of admiration. Like it? I like it very much. Li Hongyuan hooked his lips into a smile, with a bit of pride. I designed it. I couldn't tell that Wang Ye has this ability. Jingwan pretended to be surprised. TSK, is it true? That's because I feel that Wang Ye is omnipotent, so it's not strange to do anything. Is this little mouth smeared with honey today, so sweet? Let Ben Wang have a taste. Li Hongyuan made a gesture to kiss her. Hey! Jingwan smiled and pushed him away. Where is the theater in the mansion? Li Hongyuan glanced at Jingwan. She didn't hide her thoughts at all, so Li Hongyuan naturally saw through it. I'm raising it for fun. In the future, it will relieve your boredom. If you want to keep it, then keep it. If you don't want to keep it, then send it away. Ah Yuan, I'm not a magnanimous person. Jingwan said seriously. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653386. HTML chapter error. Click here to report, exempt from registration. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book. www.bicken.com. Bicken. Com mobile version reading website. Bicken.com. Chapter 246. Seeing that Jingwan was so serious, Li Hongyuan had a smile in his eyes and stroked her hair, as if he didn't care and didn't care. I know, little vinegar jar. He said perfunctorily. Did he care or not care? Did he understand or not? Jingwan smiled and did not say anything else. She did not say anything more. It would be boring to say anything more. She would get tired of it and it would be annoying. A lot of things were not based on the current promise, nor the current attitude. It was really based on the future performance. Therefore, Jingwan didn't feel that he was being irreverent at this time. In fact, Li Hongyuan also knew Jingwan's mentality. Sweet words didn't have any use on her, otherwise, she would have said a lot of things. For such a rational person like her to be able to express her attitude just a few days after getting married was already very rare. However, it was far from enough. Li Hongyuan took Jingwan to leisurely stroll around the garden. Then, Jingwan found a lot of precious flowers and trees. As he said, the 4 famous peonies were better than Sun Yilan's. It seemed that the time for transplanting was still not over, not to mention the others, chrysanthemums, plum trees, camellias, orchids, and so on. Of course, she hadn't seen most of them yet, but according to the degree of extravagance of the living king of hell, would they be bad? To be honest, Jingwan estimated that the entire capital's famous plants added together might not be as many as he had. It's no wonder. When we were in Duke Dinggua's mansion, I saw that you cut the flowers skillfully and the flowers you chose were also good. Your Highness is also a master. It was really a bit unexpected for him to be so leisurely and elegant. Li Hongyuan smiled but didn't say anything. Some things, after understanding more, even if you don't know, you can learn. When he was the emperor in his previous life, because of his poor health, his temper was naturally not easy to control. When he took care of these things, he could be at peace. It wasn't that he liked it, but that the person in his heart liked it, that's all. After walking around for more than 2 hours, they had only walked around less than half of Jin Qin Wang Fu. If they really wanted to carefully appraise it, they were afraid that they wouldn't be able to finish in one day. Jin Qin Wang Fu was so arrogant. On the way back, Jingwan once again looked at the plaque hanging in the main courtyard. Begonia House. It would be a lie to say that she wasn't surprised when she saw it for the first time. Now, Jingwan looked at the man beside her with ridicule. "Prince, how lazy must you be to be so casual?" She had heard from Qing Shi that this courtyard originally didn't have a name, and it was only put up on the eve of the wedding. Wasn't it just too lazy? Who would have thought that the inscribed board had already existed for several years? When they returned to the main courtyard, Jingwan was informed that all the account books had been sent over. Moreover, they were all in pairs. Jingwan inwardly nodded her head. These people were quite sensible. However, with a master like Li Hongyuan suppressing them, no matter how black their hearts were, she was afraid that they would still leave some leeway. After all, it was fine if the King of Hell didn't bring up the accounts, but once he did, then they would really be crushed into dregs with one foot. Jingwan knew the rules inside, and Li Hongyuan wasn't unclear either. He casually took 2 account books that seemed to be the same and flipped through them. There wasn't much, just a few pages. Then he threw them to the side with a lack of interest. These people's guts are much smaller than I expected. Mingling in Ben Wang's Fu, they shouldn't be worse than 4th or 5th rank officials. These are merely 6th or 7th rank officials. Didn't they say that they are loyal to their masters? Ben Wang's servants aren't that good. Many times, Jingwan was speechless towards this person. There was actually a master who disliked the servants he raised for being greedy for too little money? From this point of view, Jin Qin Wang was also considered a big weirdo. She didn't know what those people would think if they knew. Would they be more cautious with their words and actions, or would they be like a wild beast out of the cage and no longer have any scruples? Jingwan only glanced at Mu Gonggong. This could be considered Jin Qin Wang's #1 lackey. If he used Jin Qin Wang's name to amass wealth, he could definitely live in a mansion and raise beautiful maids. Whether it was in Jingwan's previous life or this life, there were such eunuchs. High position and power. High position and countless wealth. Such people were not rare. Mu Gonggong lowered his eyebrows and restrained his gaze. That, he didn't dare to take his master's words seriously. He said that you could do this, but he didn't say that he wouldn't sort you out. The safest thing was that even if you were stupid, cowardly, or even looked down upon, it was still better than being killed one day. He had also received things from others, but it was absolutely not as good as the other Wang Ye's personal attendants. As for ambition, a castrated person having ambition in front of the King of Hell, Master, this servant has accounted for the assets of the Wangfu. Why don't I bring them all to Wang Fei now? Li Hongyuan nodded. Then, Mu Gonggong left in a hurry, as if he was ready to throw away a hot potato. Mu Gonggong left quickly and came back quickly. Naturally, he didn't move things a little bit, but carried them by the boxes. Regardless of the volume, Mu Gonggong was very attentive and showed the general outline to Jingwan. Jingwan took a thick account book and flipped through it with interest. The more she flipped, the more frightened she became. She looked at Li Hongyuan as if she was looking at a monster. Good boy, she really wanted to pull her good husband over and ask him, "Did you move the national treasury?" That was what Jingwan thought, so she asked. National treasury? Troublesome. Sooner or later, it would be his. He didn't have the leisure to move things around and spend time doing accounts. As for the things that were now misappropriated, he didn't care. How much was misappropriated today, he would return it back 10 times or 100 times tomorrow. This is the property of the Wangfu. Ben Wang should have a private property. Aren't these your private property? Before Wan gets married, your private property is equal to the Luo family's property. Li Hongyuan looked as if he was saying, Wan, why did you become stupid? If you really move all the Luo family's property, Luo Shongshu will kill me. How can it be the same? You are the only master in the Wangfu. What's the difference between private property and public property? Now there are two of us. These belong to the two of us. See, this is the difference. Jingwan was so angry that she lost her temper. She said with a faint smile, Your Highness, do you mean that you are still going to hide a small treasury in the future? Do you have the honor of seeing His Highness's little treasury? Here it is, Your Highness. Mu Gonggong hurriedly handed over a small box. He sold out his master completely without a second word. What a good dog talent. Jingwan looked at Li Hongyuan mockingly. Li Hongyuan glanced at Mu Gonggong as if he was looking at a bastard who lived off his master while helping others. But Mu Gonggong didn't tremble at all at this moment. His back was straight and he was very magnanimous. Jingwan also knew that without Li Hongyuan's tacit approval, how could he, a close attendant, brazenly fawn on the Wang Fei who had just married into the family, and act as if he was putting her first? Under normal circumstances, she should be the one fawning on Mu Gonggong. Jingwan stared at it for a moment, and then looked back at Li Hongyuan who was calm. Finally, she reached out to take it. To Jingwan and Li Hongyuan, it was not a matter of money, but a matter of attitude. Li Hongyuan had expressed his attitude, so Jingwan should also express her attitude. If she refused, it was equivalent to refusing his kindness. Jingwan took the thing but didn't open it. She put it aside. Mu Gonggong has worked hard, I'll slowly look at it later. Mu Gonggong quivered. Wang Fei is overpraising this servant, I can't accept Wang Fei's Gonggong. Forget it before, she basically called him directly. But now, if he dared to respond, he probably wouldn't need to see the sun tomorrow. Wan, you are his master. Li Hongyuan pulled Jingwan into a bad situation. I've already told you, you and Ben Wang have the same honor. You can naturally order my people around at will. These words were said easily. How could it be so simple? However, these words really made people very happy. An invitation was handed in from the gatehouse. It was sent by Rui Wang Fei. The general idea was that Jin Qin Wang Fu finally welcomed a female master. On the day of the wedding, it was the first time she entered Jin Qin Wang Fu. She was very fond of the scenery of the Wang Fu, but she was in a hurry, so she thickened her face and wanted to visit, asking for permission and so on. Li Hongyuan threw the invitation aside. Those who are not family will not enter the same door. Did it mean that Lu Wang Fei and Rui Wang Fei were the same kind of people? Since they want to show some people the respect of brothers and sisters-in-law are harmonious, what's the harm in fulfilling their wish? Wan, we have so many good craftsmen, you shouldn't enjoy them alone. Li Hongyuan said with a light smile. Jingwan rolled her eyes. Prince, before you get married, it is indeed inconvenient for you to receive guests in the Fu. So, isn't it bad for Rui Wang Fei and Lu Wang Fei? You should invite all the brothers in your Fu. Since you want to share, the more the better. Li Hongyuan raised his eyebrows. Wan is very right. Jingwan turned back and wrote an invitation. She ordered that there would be a banquet tomorrow. She believed that those who received the invitation would come. It was the first time. Unless they really couldn't stand up, if they didn't give face, it would be hard to explain to the emperor. As expected, all the families replied to the invitation very quickly, saying that they would come early. Jingwan only needed to give orders for these things. She didn't need to do other things by herself. On this day, not long after lunch, other people came one after another. The first ones to come were Rui Wang Fei and Lu Wang Fei. Jingwan and Li Hongyuan greeted them separately. However, Jingwan saw a very unexpected person beside Lu Wang Fei. What did he want to do with Luo Jingying? https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653388. HTML. Please click here to report. No registration required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bicken.com. Bicken. Com Mobile Edition Reading Website. Bicken.com. Chapter 247. They were from the same family, and Luo Jingying had an unusual relationship with her. There were only two reasons for her to bring Luo Jingying here. Either she wanted to establish a good relationship with her, or she wanted to humiliate Luo Jingying to put her in her place. The latter was not likely, unless Prince Rue was out of his mind. But establishing a good relationship? When they were in the summer palace, they should have torn each other's faces. How could they establish a good relationship? But since she had brought her here, she could not drive her out. Luo Jingying looked at Jingwan and Princess Lu, who were talking to each other with smiles. The last time they met, Luo Jingying had to bow to Princess Lu. Now, they were on equal footing. Obviously, she had grown a lot taller. Maybe it was because of her marriage, but she seemed to be more radiant than before. Her skin was still so tender and flawless. She still wore no makeup, but even Princess Lu's exquisite makeup was completely overshadowed by her. Not to mention Luo Jingying. When they stood together, no one would treat her as a younger sister if they did not know the truth. Luo Jingying looked much older than Luo Jingying in terms of appearance, eyes, and spirit. 10 years. Haha, even if Luo Jingying married a terrible man, she could not say that she was not living a good life. But how could such a man be good? Princess Lu and Jingwan talked for a long time before she pulled Luo Jingying to her side. I brought concubine Jingying here today because she really missed her family. Because of her identity, it is not easy for her to see her. I can't take her to other places. But I thought that we are all family today, so I brought her here shamelessly. Don't worry, sister-in-law. Luo Jingying was quite cooperative. She looked at Jingwan with tears in her eyes. Her eyes were full of indescribable longing. Third sister. Luo Jingying really missed her. But there was also jealousy and hatred in her longing. In short, at this moment, she felt that her sworn enemy was very amiable. Maybe at this moment, she really understood what it meant to break the bones but still connect the tendons. She originally thought that even if she died in the backyard of Prince Rue's mansion, she would never see her family again. She had begged Princess Lu to send letters to her mother many times, but in the end, there was no reply. She knew that she had broken her mother's heart. She really didn't care about her anymore, and no one else in the Luo family would care about her. Jingwan saw that Luo Jingying was so miserable, but she didn't feel happy, but she didn't pity her either. After all, they didn't hate each other. Luo Jingying didn't end up like this because she had no choice, nor was she forced by others. It was her own choice. Originally, she could have a good marriage. Neither the Luo family nor she would ruin it. But she was greedy and inexperienced. She couldn't see the situation clearly, so she made a bad result. Jingwan drew a circle on her belly. In fact, her baby was at most 10 days younger than Sun Yijia's baby. But the baby was more than 50 days old, but she didn't hear any news about the birth of a baby in Prince Rue's mansion. Judging from her current appearance, she didn't seem to have given birth to the baby not long ago. In this case, the baby was not born, but died long ago. When she was pregnant, she went to the Luo family, excitedly, to tell them the good news. But when she died, there was no news from the Luo family at all. Prince Rue really didn't care about the Luo family if there were no benefits. Live a good life after you marry into Prince Rue's mansion. After all, your surname is Luo. These words were for Luo Jingying and Princess Lu. Third sister. Luo Jingying broke down and cried. Tears rolled down one after another. It's my mother's fault. She didn't say that you were better than me when you were born. She didn't want to be better than you, so I had to be better than you in everything. Why did I always go against you? Among all the sisters, I was the evil one. I was the only one who was excluded. I was the only one who was arrogant. I could have lived happily for the rest of my life, but this man is nothing. When you have value, he sweet-talks you, coaxes your heart, and cheats you of your body. When he knows that you have no value, he doesn't know what to do and allows you to be trampled on. Luo Jingying vented hysterically. Maybe she really resented her mother. She took most of the responsibility for raising Luo Jingying to this point. She fell into such a situation. She couldn't cry for help in Prince Rue's mansion. Her mother was so heartless that she refused to see her. No one knew the darkness and despair in her heart. No one helped her. Princess Lu's face was a little dark. She wanted to ask someone to block Luo Jingying's mouth. However, when she caught a glimpse of Jingwan's sullen face, she didn't know what to do. Because they were brothers, they didn't stick to the rules. Now, Li Hongyuan came with Li Hongming. The two brothers heard a good show. Prince Rue's expression was wonderful. He was angry and wanted to teach Luo Jingying a lesson. However, he was stopped by Li Hongyuan with a faint smile. Prince Rue was filled with resentment, but this was not his territory. It would not look good if he really caused a ruckus. Moreover, he was not a match for this bastard. If they fought, it would be even more humiliating. Prince Rue looked at Luo Jingying coldly. She didn't know what was good for her. He would teach her a lesson when they went back. Jingwan sighed. After all, she was only a 15-year-old girl. In her previous life, she was still a junior high school student. However, she had experienced the abandonment of her family, the abandonment of her lover, and the painful loss of her child. As a woman, all the pain and suffering was nothing more than this. You. Third Jejie, I know that the one that the man really wants is you. It's a pity that he can't even touch within 3 zhong of you. He doesn't have the guts to touch the fiancée of the living king of hell. What dragon and phoenix bearing, heaven's favored son, he's just dog fart. What respect for the wise. He's just a hypocrite. On the outside, he pretends to be gentle and approachable. In reality, he's just a cold-blooded beast. He'll die a horrible death. Ing Shirchie, what nonsense are you talking about? Shut up. Princess Lu's face was frighteningly gloomy. Luo Jingying turned back to look at her and smiled sinisterly. What kind of good thing do you think you are? You're just jackals of the same lair as him. A bellyful of thieves and prostitutes. Isn't that what I'm talking about? Someone come, block her mouth for me. Luo Jingying quickly walked to Jingwan's side and grabbed Jingwan's arm. This is Jin Qin Wang Fu, the living king of Hell's Palace. You're all afraid of him. My third Jejie is his wife. More than one of you told me that he's protecting his wife. Who dares to touch me? Be careful that I'll implicate third Jejie. Has the Gong Qin Wang and his father-in-law gotten closer again? This was a real threat. Slut, still not letting go of your Jejie. Prince Rue was furious. Luo Jingying looked over. Her face was covered in tears, and her smile was unusually strange. Jin Qin Wang's expression isn't good. Because you're peeping at his wife, he might want to dig out your eyes right now, chop you up and feed you to the dogs. Li Hongyuan was indeed overflowing with hostility right now. He looked at Luo Jingying like he was looking at a dead person. But he didn't come over, and Prince Rue, who was standing next to him, inexplicably didn't dare to move. Prince Rue was about to explode. From birth to now, even if he'd been punished by Li Hongyuan countless times, he'd never been pointed at and humiliated like this before. Moreover, it was his woman, a woman that he completely held in the palm of his hand. What's so special about her? She's just a coward, a coward. She seemed to think of something and started to giggle, with a bit of madness. Isn't she just a coward? Enough, don't say any more. Jingwan frowned and interrupted her. Although Luo Jingying was holding on to her, Jingwan could feel that she was limp and didn't have any strength. She didn't have the slightest intention of hurting her, so when Luo Jingying got close, she stopped Hei Mei, who was about to make a move. There was something very wrong with Luo Jingying today. Her words were practically pushing her to her death. Death. Jingwan's heart was beating wildly. She stared at Luo Jingying. You. Third sister, do I look ugly right now? She wiped her face with a handkerchief. Her makeup was smudged, and she looked like a ghost. Jingwan's lips moved. Luo Jingying smiled gently at Jingwan. Then, she suddenly let go and crashed into the rockery next to her. Even though Jingwan already thought that Luo Jingying might try to kill herself, she didn't expect it to be so quick and decisive. No one had the time to stop her. Fourth sister. Jingwan's pupils shrank, and she hurriedly ran over. https://www.beacon.com/11/11807/6653392. HTML. Please click here to report an error. Registration is not required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.beacon.com. Beacon.com Mobile Edition. Chapter 248. Jingwan hurriedly helped Luo Jingying up from the ground and pressed a handkerchief against her bleeding forehead. Call the doctor, quickly. You silly girl, why can't we talk things out? Why do you want to die? Luo Jingying leaned into Jingwan's arms as if she couldn't feel the pain at all. Her eyes were lifeless as she said weakly, "But I can't live anymore. I have nothing left. You don't want me anymore. That place is not a place for humans. It's a den of demons. Even a maid who sweeps the floor can bully me. I miss you and miss you every day, but none of you come to see me." Her tears fell down. "It's my fault. It's my fault. Live well. I'll visit you often in the future, okay?" Seeing her like this, Jingwan's heart softened. She couldn't remain indifferent. "It's okay even if you quarrel with me. You can't win an argument against me anyway. You're the one who gets angry every time." Luo Jingying forced a smile. "Yes, I'm the one who finds fault with you every time. In the end, I'm the one who suffers. I've always thought that you're the worst person in the world, the most annoying person. In fact, you're not wrong." Yes. Whatever you say. When you get better, you can say whatever you want. Where's the doctor? Why isn't he here yet?" Jingwan found that her hands were getting weaker and weaker. Her pupils were dilating and her limbs were twitching slightly. Her attention was also starting to wander. Fourth sister, look at me. Don't sleep. Before I die, I can die in peace if I can win you once." "You won't die. You won't. Hang in there. Jingwan was anxious and helpless as she faced a life that was gradually fading away. Fourth sister. Third sister, are you going to cry? Luo Jingying seemed to have discovered something strange. "You're really soft-hearted. If I were you and saw this situation, I would probably clap my hands in joy. It's worth it. I'm worth it too." Third sister, "I'm so sleepy." Fourth sister, Don't sleep. Wang Fei, why don't we carry concubine Ing into the room first? No. Third sister, I feel terrible. If I move, I'll feel even worse. Talk to me. All right, we'll do as you say. Tell me what you want to say. I hate it when people call me concubine Ing, so annoying. Well, don't call me that. No one is allowed to call me that in the future. Whoever dares to call me that, I'll help you deal with him. Jingwan promised her. The others didn't think much of it, but Prince Rue and Princess Lu had already followed the people who served them. Their expressions were interesting. However, with Li Hongyuan, this living king of hell, keeping them in check, even Prince Rue didn't dare to say anything. Just because he was peeking at his wife, Prince Rue's anger hadn't subsided yet. If he really did something, it might add fuel to the fire. Prince Rue couldn't wait for Luo Jingying to die. Although what she said had no evidence, if it spread out, it would have a great impact on him. His other brothers would definitely use this to make a big fuss. He only hated himself for believing Luo Jingying's words. Why did he believe that she would try her best to restore her relationship with Luo Jingwan and pull the Luo family closer to her? In the end, this B***TCH dared to do such a thing. She really deserved to be torn into pieces. In Prince Rue's eyes, Luo Jingying was his woman. Her life and death, honor and disgrace were all up to him. She was completely under his control. Just like the other women in his harem, they could fight and fight internally, but they would naturally unite against outsiders. Therefore, when she said that she wanted to restore her relationship with the Luo family, he didn't think there was anything wrong with it. It was just a means to fight for favor, and it was also beneficial to him. Why not? When he came out, he was just a little gentler to her, and she looked like she was infatuated with him again. Therefore, he was so conceited that he thought that women were like this. But even so, he was always fighting the eagle, and the eagle pecked his eyes instead. These men never knew how crazy a woman could be when she took revenge. When she had nothing, she would hate you to death. How could she still protect your face? How arrogant and conceited a man must be to maintain this kind of naive thinking. Male power and imperial power were supreme. Did they think that women had no ability to resist at all? It was fine if she was a helpless woman, but wasn't Luo Jingying? Third sister, the child died on the day of your hairpin ceremony. They sent people to boast about how grand your hairpin ceremony was. They knew that I hated you the most, so they deliberately provoked me. My child, had already grown up. In the end, the one that belonged to me was gone just like that. But it's good that he's gone. If he was born, I might not be able to protect him. But even a vicious tiger doesn't eat its cubs. He doesn't have a son yet, so how could he do such a thing? Tell me, is he an idiot or something? Bitch. Li Hongming couldn't bear it anymore. He wanted to rush up and strangle Luo Jingying directly. Li Hongyuan stretched out his leg to stop him. Then he swept his hand across and grabbed his neck. Then he turned around and went behind him. He pinned his one arm behind his back and kicked his knee. Li Hongming knelt on one knee, and his head almost hit the ground. Princess Lu was so shocked that she jumped up. But she could only watch helplessly and didn't dare to step forward. At this moment, several other people were led in by Eunuch Mu. When they saw this scene, they were very surprised. As for those who had a grudge against Li Hongming, they were particularly delighted in his misfortune. No matter how they fought with each other in other aspects, it didn't matter. But when they rolled up their sleeves, it was basically the case before the age of 16. After the age of 16, they had suffered a few losses in the hands of Li Hongyuan, but they were only kicked once or twice. They had never been forced to kneel on the ground like this. This was not just a matter of losing face. It was a great shame. Li Hongyuan, Prince Rui couldn't restrain his anger. Luo Jingying's head hurt, and she was dizzy. She began to lose consciousness. However, she seemed to feel Li Hongming's anger. She giggled. What a coward. Sure enough, I'm too stupid. How could I be bewitched by this man's appearance? Sure enough, I shouldn't be too greedy. It's even more stupid to climb up the social ladder. Jingwan only felt that every minute and every second was unbearable. Why hadn't the doctor arrived yet? Third sister, I beg you. I beg you. Go ahead. Go ahead. I want to go home. I want to go back to the Luo family. I don't want to have anything to do with that man. Otherwise, I won't die in peace. I won't die in peace. Okay. We'll ask him to write a letter of release. Then I'll send you home. I'll send you back to the Luo family. Thank you, third sister. Thank you. Thank you. Before I die, I can still see my family. I'm very happy. Really very happy. Fourth sister, don't die. Wait until you return to the Luo family. I'll help you with your coming-of-age ceremony. I'll find a good family for you. You'll still have your own children. Believe me, believe me. Fourth sister. Luo Jingying's lips squirmed. She opened her mouth, but it seemed that she couldn't speak. Her eyes slowly closed, but tears still rolled down from the corners of her eyes. Wang Fei, the Fu doctor is here. The Fu doctor is here. That Fu doctor looked younger than the one from the Luo family, but he was also in his early 50s. Speaking of which, Jin Qin Wang Fu's territory was large. However, more than 90% of it was occupied by Li Hongyuan, this tyrant dragon. The others lived in relatively remote areas. They couldn't destroy the layout of the Wangfu because of where these people lived. Therefore, even if the food doctor received the news and came over, he still didn't care about his image and wasted a lot of time. When the food doctor took her pulse, his heart thumped. Quick, send her back to the room. Lao Fu will perform acupuncture for her. This time, the servant maids didn't delay any longer. They hurried forward and sent Luo Jingying back to the room. It was unknown if it was because her legs were numb, but Jing Wan, who was originally half squatting, sat on the ground instead. She seemed to have lost her soul. Li Hongyuan pushed Li Hongming away. Get out of the way. He shouted at the servant maids who wanted to help Jing Wan up and reached out to wrap her up. Jing Wan reached out and hugged Li Hongyuan's neck. She buried her head in the side of his neck and said in a muffled voice, "I don't like her. Sometimes, I can't wait for someone to tidy her up. But, I didn't want her to die. She was loathsome before, but she didn't really do anything that offended heaven and reason. I really didn't want her to die. Really?" Li Hongyuan didn't know what to say at this time. Back then, he was also involved in sending Luo Jingying to Prince Rui's estate. Even now, if Luo Jingying died, then so be it. He didn't want to see Jing Wan sad. "Ah Yuan, put me down." Li Hongyuan did as she said. Jing Wan steadied herself and looked at Prince Rui. "Prince Rui, let concubine write. Today's matter is over. I don't want to write. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653394. HTML Please click here to report an error. Registration is not required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book. www.bicken.com. Biku Gur mobile reading website. Bicken.com. Chapter 249. Jingwan's implied meaning was obvious. If he didn't write it, it would mean that he had completely fallen out with the Luo family. Then, he shouldn't blame the Luo family for helping others to suppress him. It was an obvious threat. One could imagine how ugly Prince Rui's expression was. First, he was exposed by his own concubine and was even belittled. Then, he was humiliated by his closest brother and was even seen by his sworn enemy. Now, he was threatened by his sister-in-law to let go of the slut who made him lose face. Li Hongming believed that even a saint wouldn't be able to hold back his anger. He was a prince with power. If he compromised so easily, he wouldn't be able to go out and meet people in the future. Moreover, it was normal for a man to write a divorce letter. It must be because the woman had a problem in some aspect. However, who had ever heard of a prince writing a divorce letter? At most, it would be a sudden death. Everyone knew that it was a disgrace to write a divorce letter. Writing a divorce letter meant that you were afraid of the Yu family. It was your problem as a man. It was the Yu family who forced you to write a divorce letter. Moreover, it was a divorce letter. If you wrote it, you would probably become a laughingstock. Sister-in-law's words are meaningless. Since she has entered this Prince Rui's mansion, she is naturally this prince's woman in life and this prince's soul in death. Releasing a divorce letter is impossible. Originally, he was extremely angry, but he still leisurely tidied up his sleeves. What an outstanding gentleman. This prince will also advise sister-in-law. Since you are married, you should follow the rules of a married woman. Don't ruin the Luo family's reputation. Return the person to this prince and this matter will be settled. This prince will also not pursue the matter of you disrespecting your husband's uncles. Otherwise, this prince will find Luo Shongshu to discuss how he taught his descendants. Jingwan looked at him indifferently. Suddenly, she clapped her hands and laughed. Prince Rui is so eloquent. You are even better at reversing black and white. Thinking about it, if you don't have such a glib tongue, how could you coax all the courtiers to be willing to sacrifice their lives for you? How could you deceive all the young ladies to be loyal to you? Perhaps I should ask Imperial Father to seek justice for my younger sister. With just one sentence, He had overthrown all of Li Hongming's hard work and denied all of his talents. Everything he had depended on his mouth. Judging from Jingwan's expression, that was what she meant. If you look for her grandfather, she wouldn't mind looking for your father. Let's see who will be more embarrassed in the end. After knowing the true relationship between Li Hongyuan and noble consort Su, as well as the mask that noble consort Su had put on for her, Jingwan really wasn't afraid. The look on Li Hongming's face was extremely comforting. Should it be said that she was worthy of being the wife of the living king of hell? Her lethality was also very strong. But didn't it also mean that one shouldn't provoke her easily? Otherwise, it might be one's turn next time. Li Hongming was a gentleman. No matter how angry he was, he wouldn't do something as improper as arguing with his younger sister-in-law. Therefore, he naturally shifted the topic to Li Hongyuan. You and I are brothers. We were born from the same root. Sixth brother, you didn't do anything this time. You just watched from the sidelines and indulged your princess consort. You were so rude and damaged the harmony between us brothers. Wouldn't others say that your husband's authority is not enough? You lost face. If Imperial Mother knew, she would be sad. A married woman's mother-in-law was the real killer. Li Hongyuan looked at him as if he was an idiot. Imperial Mother is Imperial Mother. You are you. This prince has nothing to do with you. This wife is going to accompany this prince for a lifetime. This prince's brain must be flooded with water to not indulge her and help you instead. Third Imperial Brother, hurry up and write the letter to release your concubine. Then, everything will be fine. Prince Rue was about to explode in anger. The people watching the show couldn't help but laugh out loud. Li Hongyuan was right. He respected Imperial Consort Su. He treated this brother no differently than any of his other brothers. If the two of them really quarreled, Imperial Consort Su could only stay out of it. Using Imperial Consort Su to pressure others was really useless. Since that's the case, then there's nothing more to say. Servants, invite Shiqing out and send her back to the prince's estate. Luo Jingying's life was currently unknown, but he wanted to take her away by force. He clearly didn't care about her life. Jingwan wanted to kill someone. Li Hongyuan slightly narrowed his eyes. Watch over the Luo estate's fourth miss for this prince. Whoever dares to go in and delay the doctor's treatment will be killed without mercy. His tone was somewhat casual, but no one dared to question his words. What kind of person was the living king of hell? If he said it, then he would do it. And in Li Hongming's view, the last three words were simply directed at him. This was Jin Qin Wang Fu. Even if Li Hongming brought guards, they didn't enter the rear garden. Even if they rushed in, they were just a few kittens, not enough to be dismembered by the people of Jin Qin Wang Fu. People like Prince Rue were all excellent at enduring. The first thing he did was to weigh the pros and cons. He thought of the future. No matter how big the hatred was, it could wait until he ascended the throne. And at this very moment, Li Hongming's thoughts weren't hard to guess. Mu Fei had once said to let him go. Now, including the Luo family, no one should think about living. Li Hongyuan sneered in his heart. He was always self-righteous. On what basis did he think that he would be the final winner? As the saying goes, if you don't take revenge, you may not have the chance to do so in the future. You don't even have the ability to do so. With that power, you should take revenge now. If you hold it in too much, you're not afraid of holding it in until you break. If sixth brother likes it, then leave it for sixth brother. Sisters sharing a husband is also a good story. Let's go. Prince Rue, I won't write the letter of releasing concubines today. I'll go to the palace in a while and ask Imperial Father to judge. Jingwan said coldly. At this moment, Li Hongming naturally didn't have a good expression. Luo Jingying has been in Prince Rue's mansion for so long, but your Luo family didn't care about it. Now you have the reason to argue with this prince? Do you really think this prince has no temper? If you want to go to the palace, fine, this prince will go with you. I'll also call Luo Shongshu. I'd like to see what you have to force this prince to write the letter of releasing concubines. Jingwan was also very clear that this kind of face-slapping matter would not end well in front of Lu Qingdi. As a father, it was impossible for him to protect his daughter-in-law. In fact, in the eyes of some men, only children with their own bloodline were relatives. Women, even if they were married, were outsiders. However, this was on the premise that Li Hongming didn't do those disgusting things. Even if she couldn't get anything out of it, she could still ruin his reputation. Don't care about it, Jingwan sneered. Indeed, to avoid suspicion. The Luo family doesn't want to have anything to do with you, Prince Rue. What else can it be? A little girl just over 14 years old, arrogant, young and ignorant. Prince Rue wanted to use the Luo family for you, so he cheated her of her body and made her pregnant. If not, you want to take her as a concubine? You're dreaming. Could it be that the Luo family's daughter can't get married and has to be degraded to be your concubine? Since she has entered Prince Rue's mansion, our Luo family will accept it. If you have a little conscience and humanity, even if you don't really like her, you shouldn't abuse her. Your mansion can't afford to raise an idle person, not to mention she is pregnant with your child. Even a vicious tiger won't eat its cubs. Speaking of which, he is just a beast. Prince Rue, you. Worse than a beast. More than one person silently said Jingwan's unfinished words in their hearts. You. What, you don't want to admit it? Or do you want to say that my fourth sister seduced you? How old are you? How old is she? What have you experienced? What has she experienced? What is your identity? What is her identity? If you don't cross the line, can she get close to you? A real man should dare to take responsibility for his actions. Don't push everything to women. Otherwise, you're not a man. I'm really curious. How many women in the backyard of Prince Rue's mansion were coaxed by Prince Rue with sweet words and promises of eternal love? Jingwan looked at Princess Lu with a deep meaning. If this was how the official princess consort came about, it would be a big joke. Everyone knew that this was impossible. However, there were too many people who liked to gossip, who liked to echo the opinions of others. Public opinion could melt gold, accumulating to destroy the bones. If they really wanted to splash dirty water on you, when there were many enemies, they would definitely kill you. Once this point was confirmed, Rue Qin Wang's reputation would definitely be worse than Jin Qin Wang's. Sister-in-law, please be careful with your words. Princess Lu endured the humiliation and said. Jingwan squatted. Sister-in-law, please advise me. If you say I'm wrong, fine. You point it out and I'll change. Princess Lu almost fainted from anger. Good. The Luo family really raised a good daughter. Prince Rue almost gnashed his teeth and said. You slandered Ben Wang like this. Aren't you also ruining Luo Jingying's reputation? What good will it do to the Luo family? She has already committed suicide. What reputation does she still want? Sometimes, death could wash away the stain on one's name. Even though Luo Jingying had gotten pregnant out of wedlock and ruined her reputation, she had already paid the price with her life. She was not a heinous person. Would she still be dragged out and humiliated after her death? How big of an impact would it have on the Luo family? Obviously, no matter whether Luo Jingying could survive or not, Jingwan had already thought of a way out for her: death. In fact, this was also to save Prince Rue's face. It was better not to have a deep hatred for such an enemy. She was not afraid of him. However, she didn't care. But the Luo family might be in trouble, especially her grandfather. He would inevitably suffer when facing the attacks of Prince Rue's family. Prince Rue probably understood Jingwan's meaning now. He looked at her deeply. My sixth brother really married a good wife. In fact, as long as there was a slight possibility, Prince Rue didn't want to completely fall out with Luo Peishan. Even if he couldn't use her, he couldn't make her his enemy. Third brother, you don't need to tell me this. Why don't you give me the writing brush, ink, paper, and inkstone? Li Hongming was full of haze. He quickly wrote the concubine's letter. During the whole process, the blue veins on the back of his hand were about to burst. When he finished, he threw the writing brush away, if there are rumors outside that shouldn't be, it's up to me. Even if I use the Ministry of Justice, the Supreme Court, and the government, I will investigate the source of the rumors. Li Hongyuan said lightly. This was a warning to the other brothers. Li Hongming turned around and left. Seeing the gloating brothers, he shouted, "Get out!" At this time, even Prince Kong didn't want to provoke him. Princess Lu took one last look at Jingwan and left without saying anything. However, Jingwan didn't see pure hatred in her eyes. Instead, there was a kind of indescribable complexity. Jingwan picked up the concubine's letter and looked at it. There was no problem. She turned back. "Prince, sorry for the delay." Li Hongyuan nodded and asked the other brothers to go in. https://www.beacon.com/11/11807/6653395. HTML. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.beacon.com. Beacon. Beacon. Mobile Edition. Chapter 250. It was reasonable to say that after today's incident, everyone should return to their own homes. However, the King of Hell had already invited them in. If they still found an excuse to leave, were they deliberately not giving him face? Or deliberately not giving him face? The King of Hell had already caused them all kinds of pain. Now, there was the King of Hell's consort whose fighting prowess was off the charts. She clearly looked gentle, dignified, and easy to get along with, but she forced the most powerful of the brothers to write a letter to let her go. Although it couldn't be publicized, it was enough for them to laugh at Li Hongming for several years. Therefore, they all pretended to be deaf and dumb, as if nothing had happened. Because of Luo Jingying, Jingwan temporarily couldn't entertain the sisters-in-law. Naturally, only Gong Mama could take care of it. And Li Hongyuan was a willful master. Now that he wanted to follow his wife, he didn't have time to take care of others. Therefore, it was Gong Mumu who took care of it. Whether it was those Wang Ye or those Wang Fei, they all silently ridiculed in their hearts. Since he didn't have time, just send them away. Why keep them here? Doctor, how is my fourth sister? Jingwan looked at Luo Jingying. Because the makeup on her face had been completely wiped away by the servant girls, her face was deathly pale and abnormally ugly. There was no trace of blood on her lips, and she had already fallen into a coma. But fortunately, although her breath was weak, she was still alive. The doctor hurriedly greeted, "Wang Ye, Wang Fei, this." For a moment, the doctor didn't know how to address Luo Jingying and braced himself to speak. "Furen." He carefully glanced at Jingwan. Seeing that she didn't have any reaction, he continued to speak, but still with nervousness and apprehension. For the time being, her life is not in danger. It's just that I don't know if she can wake up. This one is incompetent. Jingwan frowned. In fact, she had already expected this situation. It was already fortunate that she didn't die. After all, she was hit so hard that she really had the determination to die. However, this was not her previous life where she could use an intravenous drip to save her life. If she didn't wake up in a few days, she might die. In any case, you have to save her life first. If you need any medicine, just say it. Jin Wangfu must have the herbs that other places didn't have. Yes, I will do my best. It's just that this madam's condition is very bad. Not only does she have a head injury, but she also didn't recuperate well after the miscarriage. She's suffering from a chronic illness, and it's probably because she can't keep up with her diet. Jingwan understood that she was malnourished, but she didn't know if it was her own fault or if Jin Qin Wang Fu treated her harshly in this aspect. Just do your best. She then ordered the maidservants to serve him well and pulled Li Hongyuan out. Does Wang Ye have a better doctor? I need time. And Zhou had gone out to carry out a mission and wasn't around. Calculating the time, it would take at least 2 more days for him to rush back. As for that white ape roaming doctor, because of an emergency, even though he knew his whereabouts, it would take at least 10 days to half a month for him to come back. Moreover, he didn't think that Luo Jingying was worth him spending so much effort to get a roaming doctor to come back for treatment. How long will it take? 3 days. Li Hongyuan seemed a little indifferent. He was narrow-minded and held grudges. If it wasn't for his little sweetheart not wanting Luo Jingying to lose her life, he would have definitely thrown her out. Fourth Mimi's current condition is special. There's no way to call for an imperial physician to come take a look. No matter, I'll take care of everything. In any case, even if the news is sealed, the people who should know will still know. It wasn't a small matter. For example, his old man, or those women in the harem, they would definitely know. Jingwan was a little hesitant. It won't be easy for you to explain to Gue Fei Nyongyong. It's fine, she won't find me for this matter. But you humiliated her son and made him lose face. She will definitely bear a grudge. I can't fall out with her for the time being, so when you meet her alone, you have to be careful. Although under normal circumstances, no one can stop me, but for Fu Huang, there are times when I still have to give him face. Jingwan nodded, indicating that she understood. Unless she sat on the highest position, she would have some scruples. Don't worry, as long as Gue Fei Nyongyong wants to maintain her image, I will be fine. If she really wants to do something to me, then she can't blame me for peeling off her face. In fact, I don't think she will do anything to me. After all, there are too many eyes in the palace. If I'm not careful, I might leave behind something that can be used against me. On the contrary, she might even use this matter to gain some benefits from grandfather. After all, we were in the wrong when we forced Prince Rue to write the letter of release. This is indeed possible, but I can't be 100% sure. Most likely, it depends on Li Hongming's attitude. If it was the Empress, there is no doubt that she would do what you said. The Empress has never cared about her son. In this aspect, Gue Fei is more humane than the Empress. Li Hongming has never encountered such a humiliating matter. He's probably going to explode from anger. Now, let's see if he can completely endure it. He's never been so humiliated? Wang Yi didn't do anything to him? Jingwan was a bit curious, but also a bit teasing. Li Hongyuan raised his eyebrows. Gue Fei is my adoptive mother. The mother-son relationship is deep. No matter what, she has to give her own son some face. No matter how she publicly tramples on him, there's a limit. It wasn't that Jingwan hadn't heard of this person in front of her. She had thought that he was a little chunibu, but it turned out that he was just putting on a show for others to see. He was just toying with some people. Speaking of which, this person was only 23 years old. In his previous life, he might have already graduated from university, or he might not have. Most people at this age were still full of little fresh meat. Compared to real little fresh meat, this man was unbelievably mature in all aspects. Shouldn't I be honored by this? After all, we just got married and we broke Wang Ye's record. Indeed, Wan is still the best. The student has surpassed the master. Li Hongyuan smiled and pinched her face. Jingwan lightly slapped him. I'm just a fox assuming the majesty of a tiger. If I didn't know you were behind me, I wouldn't be able to be tough. No matter what, I can't bring trouble to the Luo family. Although grandfather is the Minister of Personnel, Prince Rue is determined to pull him down. Without anyone's help, grandfather will most likely fall from grace. Don't talk about assuming the majesty of a tiger. Even if the fox climbed on top of the tiger's head and abused him, I'd be happy too. Although it seemed like a joke, Jingwan could feel that he was serious. Jingwan reached out and hugged him. Ah Yuan, thank you. Just a verbal thank you and that's it? Li Hongyuan put his hand around her waist and rubbed his chin on the top of her head. He laughed softly. Jingwan's waist was sensitive and almost went limp. She couldn't help but pinch him. Pervert. She scolded him softly. I've always been a pervert. Wan didn't find out today. Wan, are you going to give me or not? Li Hongyuan pretended to be frivolous and lifted Jingwan's chin. That's enough. If others see this, how can I face others? Who can see it? Who among us doesn't know? Tell me, are you going to give me or not? Yes, yes, yes. Seeing that this shameless person was about to kiss her, Jingwan quickly dodged and reached out to cover his mouth. Then she suddenly retracted her hand because this bastard actually licked her palm. This time, he really pushed her away rudely. Li Hongyuan had achieved his goal. He knew when to stop. If he angered his little sweetheart, he was worried that he wouldn't be able to guarantee his dinner tonight. Jingwan ordered someone to immediately call for an imperial physician. In fact, the medical skills of the physicians in Jin Wangfu were not much worse than those in the imperial hospital. After all, in these aspects, Lu Chengdi was absolutely generous to this son. However, the same medical skills, the direction of specialization may be different. At the same time, someone was sent to the Luo family to inform grandmother of this matter. Whether to directly send Luo Jingying back or directly send him away, they needed to come up with a plan. All that was left was to wait. The husband and wife finally had the time to take care of the guests in the Fu. Jingwan went to the pavilion in the middle of the lake in the rear courtyard. Her sisters-in-law were there to enjoy the singing and dancing performances. In fact, when these Wang Fei were brought there, they saw a pool of beauties. Each and every one of them were heavenly beauties. The program that had long been arranged was performed in front of them. The enchanting dance, the singing voice of a lark, the first-rate zither skills. Each and every one of them was a little confused. Were they sure that they didn't get their positions reversed with the men? https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653398 HTML chapter error. Click here to report. Registration is not required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bicken.com. Bicken. Com mobile version reading website. Bicken.com. Chapter 251. After arriving, Jingwan first expressed her apologies and exchanged pleasantries with each other. After sitting down, she ate some snacks and drank flower tea while chatting with her sisters-in-law. Since she had already entered this circle, she naturally had to blend in. At least on the surface, it was necessary to show harmony and friendship. Speaking of which, among the 6 people present, Jingwan was the youngest. However, according to seniority, there were only 2 people in front of her. Needless to say, Princess Consort Kong wasn't even born yet. The second prince was already dead. Princess Consort Lu had already left. As for Princess Consort Gong, she had already suffered losses in Jingwan's hands. She had been repeatedly beaten by her father and aunt. Even if she had resentment in her heart, she could only suppress it. At this moment, she was trying her best to maintain a calm expression. The 5th prince was a sickly invalid who didn't participate in anything. His princess consort was just like dough, she was amiable to everyone. Needless to say, the last few people didn't have much of a presence. Jingwan was married for the first time, but her aura was not weak at all. Moreover, this was her home ground, so she definitely had the demeanor of the head of the family. In fact, if it were not for the fact that she had no intention of suppressing them, some of them would be too ashamed to show their faces. While smiling sweetly, she had already obtained a lot of information from some trivial matters that she wanted to know. She had no choice. Her husband was ambitious. Even if she could not help him, she could not drag him down. Jingwan was multitasking. She was talking to them while watching the performance. These beauties were really not bad. Of course, they were not just enchanting. Some of them were also imposing and sharp. They were pleasing to the eye. 6th sister-in-law, these beauties have been taken by us. Where are the prince and the others? Could there be more beautiful ones? The 10th princess consort smiled. After all, this was what they cared about the most. It was already very good that they could hold back until now to ask. No matter how beautiful they are just this level. The prince and the others are not as lucky as us. They are now listening to a performance, a martial arts performance. Jingwan looked back and winked. She smiled slyly at the 10th princess consort. The 10th princess consort was not the only one who was surprised. 6th sister-in-law, you're really awesome. There were many people who knew about the theatrical troupe and performers that Jin Qin Wang Fu raised, but not many had seen it. However, Li Hongyuan's brothers had more or less seen it before, and every time, they would be extremely envious. But what could they do? The living king of hell completely didn't seem to understand their intentions. He was very casual when he sent other beauties, but this time, he was very stingy. It wasn't as if she hadn't heard their nagging before coming here. As his wife, she felt bitter in her heart, but she couldn't say a single word. In the end, they didn't see the beauties they were longing for. The beauties from the opera troupe were also nowhere to be seen. A group of men were sitting there watching the martial arts show. Just by imagining it, one could imagine how aggrieved they were. The group of Wang Fei could not help but cover their mouths as they giggled. They could not be blamed for being unkind. It had to be known that this kind of opportunity was too rare. They did not have to worry that they would shamelessly ask the living king of hell for him. Therefore, when they looked at these beauties again, they were not so disgusted. They even whispered to each other and admired them. In fact, some people were indeed very aggrieved at this time and couldn't help but open their mouths. It was too boring. Li Hongyuan was calm and unperturbed. That appearance seemed to be quite attentive. 6th brother, you're also interested in this kind of thing? The 7th prince expressed his puzzlement. It's pretty good. Anyway, I'm tired of watching other things. It's not bad to occasionally change the taste. You're tired of watching it, but the brothers are very greedy. We're all brothers, you can't play like this. 6th brother, let's change it. Then he clicked on that decadent sound. No one is singing. Li Hongyuan said very straightforwardly. Your sister-in-law said that no one is serving tea. The person was sent to serve tea. There's only the martial arts show to watch. Just put up with it. He almost spat out a mouthful of old blood. His mother, this was the first time he heard the words put up with it, from the living king of hell's mouth. Had he ever put up with it? Who could let him put up with it? But this matter really happened. Because the 5th prince's health was not good, he had always restrained himself when it came to women. Moreover, the doctor told him to guard against arrogance and rashness. He must avoid getting angry by all means. Only then could he live longer. He was purely gathering with his brothers and didn't have any crooked thoughts. At this moment, he was a bit teasing. Old 6th, according to what you said, could it be that those tricks you raised were also taken by your sister-in-law? You're enjoying the dance and listening to music with your wife. Well, this living king of hell was captured by his wife? Everyone was speechless. This living king of hell was going to be captured? Speaking of which, wouldn't it be even more difficult for them to find a place to pass the time in the future? Although it wasn't easy in the past, it was still better than completely cutting off all avenues. Well, the beauties here could only be seen. They couldn't touch or eat them. Because of this, their hearts were even more itchy. They could go to the brothels, but they had to care about their reputation and didn't dare to be too brazen. Moreover, when they saw the beauties in their brother's residence, they always felt that those beauties were vulgar. Therefore, whether it was true or false, they ridiculed him with a few sentences, letting him assert his position as the husband. To be captured by his wife, it was too shameful. Li Hongyuan was completely unconcerned. Not to mention that he would fly into a rage out of humiliation. He seemed to be in a good mood. On Jingwan's side, the sisters-in-law more or less bred some envy and jealousy, but it wasn't serious. They were all too clear about what kind of person Jin Qinhuang was. In the past, just listening to his right and wrong was enough to pass a lot of time. Only then did he marry a wife. She was also delicate and tender. Any man would be fresh for a period of time. What kind of person was Jin Qin Wang? When he pampered someone, he could pamper them to the heavens. After the pampering, seeing that she was his first wife, perhaps he could still leave behind some dignity. However, that was all, nothing more. Sixth sister-in-law, now that you have everything in Jin Qin Wang Fu in your hands, it would be better to send 2 of these beauties to sister-in-law and let sister-in-law bring them back to pass the time. Gong Qin Wang Fei said with a fake smile. No new wife would touch the beauties raised by her husband. Regardless of whether or not her husband was holding you in the palm of his hand, obedient, when he was in high spirits, naturally nothing was wrong. But once he was tired, everything was wrong. Women who hadn't yet established themselves wouldn't make this kind of mistake. Moreover, entering the door was already like this. A jealous woman, an unvirtuous name was appropriate. Didn't you want to show off? Fine, I'll see how you continue. Jingwan read this message from Gong Qin Wang Fei's eyes. Jingwan smiled. Fourth sister-in-law has taken a fancy to them, it's their fortune. If you like, you can pick 2 more. Gong Qin Wang Fei almost fainted from anger. Bringing these foxes back, did she have nothing better to do? However, the one who opened her mouth was her. If she pushed them away now, wouldn't it be slapping her own face? Then many thanks to sixth sister-in-law. It's just, this kind of good thing, how can sister-in-law monopolize it? Us sisters-in-law, everyone should have a share. She didn't know how to be happy, so the others shouldn't think about being happy. Jingwan smiled and nodded, naturally so. She was still thinking about how to send these people out. It was simply like someone giving her a pillow when she wanted to sleep. She also didn't need to attract hatred, it simply couldn't be more wonderful. The others all had the heart to bite Gong Qin Wang Fei to death, this idiot. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653401 HTML chapter error. Click here to report, exempt from registration. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book. www.bicken.com. Biku Gu mobile reading website. Bicken.com. Chapter 252. Gong Qin Wang Fei also knew that she would offend people like this, but her heart was unhappy. The others faintly looked at Jingwan. How did they meet someone like you who didn't play by the rules? She had happily sent them away. Although she didn't take the initiative to send them away, who didn't know that she was pushing the boat along with the current? More or less, she would leave behind a reputation of being jealous, and there was also her own husband. In the end, she didn't have any experience, so she would be foolish and do such an unwise thing. Jingwan could roughly guess their meaning, but she didn't really care. Reputation and what-not were all empty, there was no need to care about it. Moreover, if a man really cared about you, so what if he had this kind of reputation? It wouldn't even become a burden, and he would be happy to be criticized by more people. If a man didn't care, but you cared, then you reaped what you sowed. There was nothing to say. Therefore, no matter from which aspect, it wouldn't affect Jingwan. Jin Qin Wang Fu raised a lot of swindlers, but outsiders didn't know how many there were. Moreover, the one who first proposed to send people away was Li Hongyuan himself. Jingwan didn't think that he would do such a thing for no reason, he must have his intentions. Jingwan's first guess was that he might want to plan to spy. However, last night, when Li Hongyuan asked her to choose the people to send out, Jingwan became suspicious again. If it was planting a spy, shouldn't it have been done long ago? Why wait until now? This method wasn't very good. Everyone knew the current situation, the people sent by the brothers would definitely be on guard. Those sent out would most likely be treated as the purest playthings. Jingwan really couldn't understand what he wanted to do. And Li Hongyuan just smiled and didn't speak. That appearance was really a bit deserving of a spanking. Jingwan was clear about the situation that these people would face if they were sent out, so she went to see all the swindlers and directly told them the whole story. Based on the principle of voluntariness, she also promised that if they wanted to stay in Jin Qin Wang Fu, as long as they knew their place, they wouldn't be short of a mouthful of food. Jingwan had good intentions, but most people misunderstood. They thought that she was the mistress of the house and didn't like them, so she wanted to find a way to deal with them. They knew that this was human nature, but there were still people who were resentful. And these people, more or less, had some thoughts in their hearts. No matter how bad Jin Qinhuang's reputation was, in their eyes, he was handsome, rich, and aloof. They couldn't stop their hearts from palpitating. After that, they cried like raindrops on pear blossoms and swore that they did not have any improper thoughts towards Wang Yi and begged Wang Fei not to send them away. Jingwan was sick of people who didn't understand human language. Jingwan had a general understanding of these people. She knew who had ulterior motives. She also knew that even if you had ulterior motives, as long as you didn't make a fuss, no one would care about what you were thinking. No matter how good her temper was, there was a limit. Li Hongyuan cared about her, so naturally, he couldn't push her out. Since he jumped out of his own accord, he naturally couldn't blame her for not giving him face. Once it was clear, she would naturally flick her sleeves and leave. Who would have the patience to chat with you? However, Jingwan didn't know that as soon as she left, Mu Gonggong brought people to block the mouth of the person who made the most noise and directly dragged him out. The rest of the people kept quiet out of fear. Mu Gonggong sneered again and again, "Wang Fei is merciful, so she gave you the chance to choose. If it was someone else, all of you would have been beaten to death. Stay or not stay, it's that simple. You just had to make trouble." Mu Gonggong was Jin Qinhuang's trusted aide. Without his instructions, Mu Gonggong would never do such a thing. Obviously, Jin Qinhuang not only knew and agreed to this matter, but also completely stood on Wang Fei's side. They were nothing. Killing the chicken to warn the monkey, it was better to do so. Then, one by one, they stopped and seriously thought about whether they should stay or leave. There were those who tried to climb up and felt that Jin Qinhuang Fu was hopeless, so they naturally chose to leave and fight for their future. There were also those who wanted to gamble, hoping that Jingwan really had a bit of benevolence and asked for the protection of the Wang Fu to spend the rest of their lives in peace. There were also those who still didn't give up on Jin Qinhuang. At this time, it was still early. These Wang Fei were actually calculating in their hearts that they wouldn't pull people to their side now. They would wait until the banquet was over to enjoy the scenery, chat with them, and then wait until after the banquet. No one would mention it. Maybe they could fool this matter. Unfortunately, their idea was beautiful, but their husbands were completely useless. On this side, they just made a decision, and on the other side, Mu Gonggong very indignantly tattled on them to his master. Li Hongyuan's expression was indifferent. If you want to give it, then give it. Sister-in-law already asked for it. Can you still not give it? Learn from your Wang Fei. Be more magnanimous and don't be so petty. It's just a few tricks. Master's lecture is right. Mu Gonggong hurriedly apologized. This time, Li Hongyuan's image in the eyes of the other brothers had been discounted. However, no matter what they thought, no one expressed it. It was said to be given to their Wang Fei, but in fact, it wasn't given to them. Except for Wu Wangye, everyone was envious. Now that there was a chance to eat it, who would refuse? Therefore, the Wang Fei's calculations were bound to fall through. After appreciating the dance and listening to the songs, Jingwan took them to stroll around the garden. Because she herself wasn't very familiar with it, only the 4 maids, Ci, Gur and Fu, waited on her side. Because they already knew that Wang Fei was knowledgeable about flowers, they more or less dabbled in this aspect. Therefore, when they explained to the Wang Fei, their words were clear and logical, with a stream of witty words. From admiring the exquisite construction of the Fu, and then looking at Jingwan, their gazes were subtle. Those who didn't have a name or status were easy to dismiss, but what about these maids who had served for several years? Jingwan turned a blind eye to their mocking and gloating expressions. These 4 maids were so obedient that it was a bit strange. Don't mention climbing into the bed. In the past few days after she married, when a certain person wasn't around, they were all attentive and diligent in serving her. Attentive and considerate, they were even more meticulous than her maidservants, making her maidservants suspect that they were facing the danger of being laid off. However, they weren't as good as the others, so they didn't dare to say it out loud. The 2 groups of people were trying to compete for favor in front of her. When a certain person was around, Gur and Fu would hide as far away as possible. It wasn't like facing a master that they had served for several years, but rather a plague that they couldn't avoid. When needed, they would still be in front of her. Once or twice, a certain person even mixed them up. This was a person who had served for several years? Only ghosts would believe it. The banquet was very sumptuous. TSK, everyone says that the things that Jin Qinhuang uses are even better than Fu Huang's. Seeing it today, it really does live up to its reputation. When these words were spoken, the sour water was bubbling and bubbling. If you ask me, this cook's culinary skills are the best. 6th sister-in-law how about lending the cook to sister-in-law to order about? 5th Wang Fei said with a smile. Without leaving a trace, she suppressed Gong Qin Wang Fei's words. Everyone knew that Lu Chengdi was good to Jin Qinhuang. Everything good was first given to this son. However, to say that everything was better than Lu Chengdi, it was certainly impossible. Most of the time, it was true that they were equal. It was good to know these things, but if they were pulled apart, there would be no meaning. That won't do. Wang Ye's mouth is picky. If 5th sister-in-law likes, you can come over to eat at any time. In any case, I reckon that I'm usually idle most of the time. Just treat it as accompanying me. Jingwan smiled. 5th Wang Fei clapped her hands and smiled. This is what sister-in-law said. When the time comes, don't say that I'm staying in your fu and not leaving I couldn't ask for more. 5th Wang Ye was sickly and powerless. He had always been an invisible person. No matter who got close to him, no one would say anything. 5th sister-in-law, don't look so poor. In any case, you're Fu Huang's son. Don't say it like you're being treated harshly. Father naturally treats all the princes equally, the 5th princess consort said indifferently. Jingwan's eyes flashed slightly. No matter what, this 5th sister-in-law didn't seem to be as soft as the rumors said. Speaking of which, she reckoned that she was forced by the situation. However, her complexion looked good. It could be imagined that her days should be good. Others said that she married a sickly man and might become a widow at any time. From the day of her marriage, her life was ruined. In fact, 5th Wang Ye's harem was even worse than that of ordinary low-ranking officials. Moreover, because of his health, he felt ashamed to face his princess. Therefore, although there was no deep love between them, they were still harmonious and beautiful. Although there was no strong love in their hearts, they were the closest people and supported each other all the way. 5th Wang Fei had a peace that others didn't have. Even if the emperor changed, their family didn't have to worry about being punished. Now, they didn't have to be involved in the fight for the throne. They didn't have to tremble in fear and be exhausted all the time. Therefore, whether these days were good or bad was like drinking water, only the wearer knows whether the water is hot or cold. After the banquet, they wandered around the garden and listened to the opera. Although Li Hongyuan's brothers had more or less visited his mansion before, they hadn't been to most of the places in the back garden. Today, they set foot in some areas that they hadn't been to before. Sure enough, Old Sixth was the one who knew how to enjoy life the most. As expected, the Wang Fei wanted to muddle through, but their husband couldn't wait. When it was time to leave, if it was in the past, he would be very straightforward, but this time he dilly-dallied, wanting to say something but hesitating. In the end, the Gong Prince couldn't bear it and directly asked his Wang Fei, "I heard that you asked 6th sister-in-law for a person. Who is it, to make Wang Fei so concerned? Let this prince take a look." Gong Qin Wang Fei was almost angered to death. In the end, who was concerned? Looking at him, she couldn't help hating him. Since the Gong Prince and the left governor became estranged, he no longer restrained himself when it came to women. He almost directly told his Wang Fei, "Your father doesn't want to help me, why should this prince support you?" No matter how insolent Gong Qin Wang Fei was, now she didn't dare to easily clean up the harem. This matter, I almost forgot. Jing Wan explained with a smile, "Come, call the person over, let the sisters-in-law choose." Seeing Jing Wan putting on an act, new and old hatred bubbled up. The Gong Qin Wang Fei couldn't wait to strangle her. https://www.bicon.com/11/11807/6653403. HTML chapter error. Click here to report, no registration required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bicon.com. Bicon.com Mobile Edition. Chapter 253. There were more than 30 to 40 courtesans in the Fu, and more than half of them were willing to be sent out. Excluding Jing Wan, there were 5 other people. On average, each person would get 3 and there would still be some left. Of course, this was what Jing Wan thought was the ideal situation. Jing Wan knew that if this was the case, if she really said it like that, it would definitely attract hatred. According to their selfish thoughts, they probably didn't want a single one. However, the number of people who wanted to leave still exceeded Jing Wan's expectations. Was it that most of the beauties had the ambition to conquer men and climb to a high position? Or was it that her credibility was too low? Well, it should be that 99% of the matriarchs had very low credibility in the hearts of the foxy beauties. They never thought that any matriarchs would sincerely and generously accept them. Their beauty was the original sin. As women, the matriarchs would only be jealous and hate, and would not appreciate or like them. Jing Wan could roughly guess this kind of situation. Then it would be like that. Would she be able to sit down and hold those people's hands to have a heart-to-heart talk? That would really be a joke. Although fourth sister-in-law was the vanguard today, she would not take advantage of them too much. Thinking about it this way, Jing Wan felt that she had almost offended all of these sisters-in-law. It was a little troublesome. Nearly 20 beauties of different shapes lined up in a row. Jin Qin Wang Fu was rich, and they were specially for people to look at. Naturally, they were not ill-treated in dressing up. Now that they had specially dressed up, they were even more gorgeously dressed and extremely beautiful. Some people's eyes couldn't wait to stick to their bodies, while others couldn't wait to peel their skin and pull out their tendons. Their faces were dignified and virtuous, and even full of smiles, but the hands hidden in their sleeves were already tightly clenched. The depths of their eyes seemed to be dipped in poison. In their hearts, words like foxy beauties, lowly hoofs, and the like flew together. This is the so-called order of seniority. Fourth sister-in-law, you choose first. Ninth Wang Fei smiled. She quickly chose the most beautiful ones, and the more she chose, the better. She didn't mind that there were some ugly melons and cracked dates left in the end. Speaking of seniority, shouldn't Ben Wang also choose first? Prince Kong seemed to be reserved, but his eyes couldn't be restrained, and there was a bit of urgency in his tone. This prince was given to sister-in-law and sister-in-law by Wang Fei. What does it have to do with you? We'll talk about it after you marry the second princess. Prince Kang's face darkened. He hadn't considered this point at all. In his opinion, what gift to Wang Fei? Wasn't it a gift to him and his brother? Women were just in name. Now, Li Hongyuan bluntly slapped him in the face. That may be the case, but Prince Kong is going to marry a second consort soon. I'll bring them back now and give them to eldest sister-in-law after she marries. Since you're so impatient, then take them away, take them all away. Jing Wan pretended to look up at the sky. It was blue and bright, but Jing Wan felt a little sad. Sigh, she had offended the daughter of the Minister of Works before she even became her sister-in-law. Her husband was a master who had drawn the hatred of the entire world. She was going to follow in his footsteps. Jingwan glanced at Li Hongyuan. She was very suspicious. Did he do this on purpose to isolate her from the outside world? It just so happened that when her eyes met with Li Hongyuan's, it gave people the illusion that he was watching you all the time, and that you could see his gentle and affectionate eyes at any time when you turned around. Jingwan felt her cheeks were a little hot. She looked away without a trace. Then, her suspicions were thrown beyond the highest heavens. Prince Kong was humiliated by Li Hongyuan. He wanted to stubbornly say no, but he couldn't do anything. Among this group of beauties, there was one that he had been eyeing for a long time. As the saying goes, the more you can't eat, the more you want to eat. Maybe there won't be such a shop after this village. So, he suppressed his anger and didn't become irritable. It was rare for him to not be impulsive and reckless. The reason was a woman. If the Empress knew, she didn't know what expression she would make. The Empress was competitive and ambitious all her life. Her son might be her biggest failure. He was easy to control, but sometimes he was very stupid. He always caused trouble and caught people off guard. To be honest, Empress Sun felt that if Li Hongming was her son, then whether it was the imperial court or the harem, imperial concubine Su would have no place. So, Prince Kong often made people want to send him back to the furnace to be remade. Then, Prince Kong unceremoniously chose the person he wanted. Then, he wanted to choose the second one. Eldest brother, enough is enough. The brother next to him reminded him coldly. Prince Kong reluctantly put away the idea of continuing to choose people. The people that Prince Kong chose might not be the same as the others. These beauties each had their own merits. It was hard to judge who was the best. So, there would not be a situation where several brothers fought for the same one. Under the great pressure of their husbands, the princesses originally wanted to choose the least outstanding one. However, compare these foxes with the ones in their harem, it seemed that even the least outstanding one was a little better than them. In this case, it was better to choose the good one and be virtuous and generous. Maybe they could win their husband's favor. Jingwan saw all their struggles. To be honest, the only person who didn't feel any pressure about this matter was probably the fifth princess. These beauties were given to her. They were probably just for her to pass the time when she had nothing to do. So, to a certain extent, it was not a bad thing that her husband was not in good health. In Jingwan's view, choosing beauties for her husband was actually a bit like a wife choosing a mistress for her husband. This kind of thing, no matter how she thought about it, was uncomfortable. In order to win her husband's favor, she had to be magnanimous. She had to choose the beautiful one, the one who was the biggest threat to her future. If he didn't love her, it was fine. If he loved her, and loved her deeply, it was simply a kind of torture. As the person who took the lead in this matter, Jingwan felt that it was very unkind. Jingwan glanced at Li Hongyuan again. Her expression was indifferent, completely indifferent to this matter. Jingwan was discouraged. Forget it, she was still in the gray area where light and darkness intersected. How could she have time to sympathize with others? This kind of pressure to choose one by one, in the end, it really was evenly divided. What happened to only wanting one? The Gongqin princess consort was hated to death, and Jingwan was not much worse. The last one, this prince will reluctantly accept. Give the last one to me. I rarely go out on weekdays, so it's really boring in the Fu. The fifth princess consort smiled. Naturally, I won't compete with fifth sister-in-law, but, Prince Kang's gaze turned to Jingwan, sixth sister-in-law is too stingy, hiding the best one for herself. There was a saying that a man whose heart was not content was like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. Prince Kong was such a person. If possible, he even wanted to take all of them. He got 3, but he was still thinking about the rest. Of course, the best one should be kept for myself. Being surrounded by beauties, enjoying dances and listening to music, is not a great pleasure. Jingwan smiled. So, even if she gave them away, she didn't dare to go too far. The most seductive one was still in her hands. Thinking like this, their hearts felt more balanced. When they looked at Jingwan, their hatred lessened a bit. Jingwan also didn't know their thoughts. Otherwise, she would not know whether to laugh or cry. This logic was also a bit strange. What she said was the truth. How could it make people distort it? However, there was someone who believed it, but also distorted it. Li Hongyuan felt that they should be dealt with. Who cared whether they were willing to leave or not? What did they mean by circling around his wife all day long? It was indeed a wrong decision to raise them to relieve Wan Wan's boredom. With him around, how could Wan Wan be bored? They came empty-handed, but returned with big gifts. Should they be happy or unhappy? After sending away these people who were at the top of the pyramid, Jingwan's expression became a bit lighter. What's wrong? Li Hongyuan reached out to hold Jingwan. Are you tired? I won't let them come in the future. Many times, Jingwan was really helpless and speechless in front of this man. I didn't do anything. How can I be tired? Jingwan stared at him. Was it true that male power was supreme? He could squander women's feelings so unscrupulously and crush their hearts. Was he really not afraid of retribution one day? However, retribution was funny when she thought about it. Not to mention that they never thought that they were wrong. Even if they were wrong, they wouldn't care about any retribution. We are husband and wife. What can't you tell me? Li Hongyuan stroked her face gently. Jingwan paused. In any case, I'm your wife. How can you not give me face, even if it's just pretending? So hateful. She wrapped her arms around Li Hongyuan's neck and rubbed her fingers on the back of his neck. She opened her hand and pinched the back of his neck. Inexplicably, she was filled with hostility. She wanted to break this man's neck. Li Hongyuan naturally understood Jingwan's meaning. How could he not feel the change in Jingwan's mood? After all, she was not like them. It was not easy to hide her emotions. His sweetheart's possessiveness towards him was getting stronger and stronger. This was a good sign. However, he didn't do anything wrong to her. Wanting to take his life was not good. They are princes. Without the restrictions of the Yu clan, they naturally can do whatever they want. They are just a few playthings. How can they have any scruples? Even if it was reported to Imperial Father, he would probably be reprimanded as making a fuss over nothing and not being magnanimous. So, Prince is also this unscrupulous? Jingwan said indifferently. In fact, there was a coldness that she didn't notice. How they are has nothing to do with me. The only thing that concerns me is you. I won't. Jingwan covered his mouth. The cruelest thing is to give a promise, to give a hope, and then ruthlessly crush it with your own hands. How many pledges of undying love can withstand the erosion of time? It's already very good to have a few years. Li Hongyuan didn't say anything. He directly pulled Jingwan into his arms and kissed her. They were still in the courtyard. Not only were there personal attendants, there were also other servants in the residence. How could they kiss each other just like that? How could it be? Anyway, Li Hongyuan didn't care whether it was appropriate or not. Jingwan also didn't care about other people at this time. She was a little emotional at this time, so rules were all thrown to the back of her mind. When encountering such a master, the people around her were the most embarrassed. They all hurriedly hid away. Because of Jingwan's response, Li Hongyuan's anger was directly aroused. He directly carried Jingwan back to the main courtyard and directly entered the bedroom. The people who originally stayed in the main courtyard were shocked and hurriedly retreated. This kind of daytime debauchery, it wasn't like they hadn't done it before. The first time they had intimate contact, wasn't it also in broad daylight? Jingwan didn't have any scruples at this time. The two people were in a daze in the room, as if they had completely forgotten the important things. They observed 2 seconds of silence for Luo Jingying, who was still sleeping. Lu She came to Jin Wongfu. However, Jingwan and Li Hongyuan still hadn't come out of the room. The attendants were also pretending to be dead and didn't dare to disturb them. They only said that it was inconvenient for Wang Fei to see people at this time. At this time, Lu Shi was wholeheartedly thinking about Luo Jingying and didn't think too much about it. When Jingwan came out of the bath and found out that Lu Shi was in the fu, she was extremely embarrassed. The result of her embarrassment was that Li Hongyuan's waist suffered a calamity and was pinched several times by Jingwan. However, Li Hongyuan's muscles were hard and couldn't be twisted. Being pinched twice didn't make much of a difference. He held Jingwan's hand, his eyes deep and serene. "Good heart, don't seduce me." Jingwan fiercely glared at him. In fact, she was even more annoyed that she didn't live up to expectations and was led by him to become more and more shameless. She turned around and went out. To be honest, to be able to do this kind of thing at this time, Jingwan was wondering if she was muddle-headed. She went to see Lu Shi. Fortunately, Lu Shi didn't ask anything and also didn't have the mind to look at Jingwan's body. Third aunt, the doctor in the fu and the imperial physician have seen her. Fourth sister is fine for the time being. But if she doesn't wake up for a long time, I'm afraid her life will be in danger. In fact, the main reason is that she doesn't want to wake up. Lu Shi looked at Luo Jingying with red eyes and listened to Jingwan's words. After a while, she reacted and then tears rolled down her face like broken beads. "It's all my fault, it's all my fault." Lu Shi choked with sobs and cried for a long time before she slowly stopped. "It's all my fault. She should blame me. I taught her to be like this, but at the end of the day, I abandoned her." Because the person who was sent to the Luo family was Bai Xiao, she clearly explained what happened before and after Luo Jingying's suicide. If Luo Jingying didn't find a way to escape from Prince Rui's mansion and then commit suicide in front of Jingwan, nothing would have happened. Perhaps Lu Shi still wouldn't care about her. People were so bad that they wouldn't be moved until they had to. Jingwan believed that Lu Shi couldn't escape from this. At this point, no matter who was right or wrong, there was no need to pursue the matter. The most important thing was to wake Luo Jingying up. "Third aunt, you can talk to her more. As long as she has the will to live, she can get through this." "Thank you, third lass. Thank you." Lu Shi thanked sincerely. She knew very well that if it wasn't for Jingwan, her daughter might have been dead. Moreover, she wouldn't even be able to see her for the last time. "It's all my fault in the past. It's all my fault. It's meaningless to say these things now. Let bygones be bygones." It wasn't that Jingwan was magnanimous. It was just that those things in the past didn't affect her much. They were mainly aimed at her mother. Her mother was naive and sweet. She was lucky that someone helped her resolve it. She forgot about it and didn't have any shadow in her heart. "You're so kind. How can others do it?" Jingwan smiled but didn't say anything. She didn't think that she was kind. She asked someone to bring the letter of releasing concubines and gave it to Lu Shi. "Third aunt, you can keep it." Lu Shi naturally knew what it was. Although she didn't know the process of getting the letter of releasing concubines, she knew that it wasn't simple. After all, the other party was a prince. It wasn't easy for ordinary people to get the letter of releasing concubines unless the girl's family was more powerful than the boy's family, and it was definitely the boy's fault. Which family would let a girl be a concubine who wasn't as powerful as the boy's family, unless the girl's family suddenly became powerful? Therefore, the letter of releasing concubines was really rare. The letter of releasing concubines was probably the first one in history. Lu Shi's hands trembled as she took the letter of releasing concubines. She looked at it and then carefully put it away. "Does third aunt want to take fourth Mimi back or let her stay in the Wangfu? I want to take care of her personally, but this doctor." Lu Shi, as an aunt, wasn't suitable for her to stay in the Wangfu. Wang Ye has found another doctor, but he's not in the capital. He still needs 2 days. If third aunt wants to take fourth Mimi back, it's not impossible. When the time comes, let the doctor go directly to Luo family. "Thank you, third Yas, really." Lu Shi took Luo Jingying back to Luo family. Naturally, not many people knew about this matter. As for how it would be handled in the end, it was up to the 2 elders of the Luo family and Jin Wangye to decide. Of course, Li Hongyuan wouldn't take this matter to heart. He would certainly do whatever Jingwan said. Obviously, Jingwan wouldn't intervene in this matter. At night. Wan, tomorrow noble consort Su may summon you to enter the palace. When the time comes, we'll see how it goes. You don't need to wrong yourself. She didn't summon you today because she wanted to give you some buffer time. Then, it's most likely that she wants to find your grandfather to benefit. So, you naturally don't need to be polite with her. If there's anything, your grandfather and I will arrange it. Jingwan nodded her head. Don't worry, I know what to do. When she confirmed her marriage with Li Hongyuan, she had already mentally prepared herself for the battle, and learned a lot of these things from Gong Mama. I naturally believe you. When this matter is over, let's go to the country estate to live for a while. Jingwan's eyes slightly brightened. Okay. At this time of the year, going to the country estate to live, it couldn't be more pleasant. Li Hongyuan smiled faintly and hugged Jingwan. His gaze was gentle. He felt that the current situation wasn't bad, but the things that should be fought for still had to be fought for. Without power, it was impossible to guarantee this peace. Without power, he also couldn't protect her for a lifetime of peace. Afterwards, putting these matters aside, the husband and wife nestled together to read leisurely books. Occasionally, they would whisper a few words and rub their ears against each other. It was indescribably warm. Li Hongyuan's people all sighed. Sure enough, it was good that Wang Fei entered the door. They, the little rascals, because they didn't have the pressure of the living king of hell, they seemed to be living freely these days. However, they were also a little worried. They were afraid that their master would be intoxicated by the warmth and tenderness. From now on, the monarch will not attend morning court. However, it was clear that they were thinking too much. When Jingwan fell asleep, Li Hongyuan got up and went to the study. He was still that unsmiling living king of hell who seemed to be haunted by a vicious aura. Li Hongming is too idle. Let's find something for him to do. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653405. HTML. Please click here to report an error. Registration is not required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bicken.com. Bicken. Com mobile version reading website. Bicken.com. Chapter 254. An E and the others silently lit candles for Prince Rue. What too idle? Clearly, he didn't have time to find trouble. Previously, he almost lost the Emperor's heart. It hadn't been long, and now it happened again. Basically, one could imagine how irritable Prince Rue would be. With Prince Rue to worry about, Gue Fei probably didn't have time to find Wang Fei to chat. Of course, this finding trouble wasn't just a matter of words. Not only did it have to really make Li Hongming badly battered and unable to free himself, but it also had to be done so flawlessly that no one would be able to detect that Li Hongyuan was the mastermind behind this. Li Hongyuan had been dormant all these years, secretly gathering people. Naturally, this method was endless. Because of foresight, even if he couldn't remember clearly, as long as he had a vague impression, he would send people to investigate. Naturally, it would be twice the result with half the effort. Coercion and bribery were all trivial matters. He also forced people into a dead end and then had no choice but to submit. Sometimes, not only did he not hide it, but he also clearly told you in front of people, letting you know who the enemy was. In this way, on the surface, they were other people's people, but secretly loyal to him. Therefore, the spies in his hands were definitely more capable than most, and could even come into contact with the core things. Because, if Li Hongyuan wanted to deal with someone, it was much easier than his brothers. To be honest, Li Hongyuan felt that he could become the final winner in such a situation in his previous life. In this life, with such a big advantage, if he still lost, then he didn't need to live anymore. He methodically ordered things to be done. Moreover, even if Li Hongming asked for benefits from Luo Shangshu, he also had to make him think that he ate a meat pie, but in fact, he ate poison. Even if he noticed, he couldn't spit it out. He also had to let others know that he used a concubine release letter to obtain great benefits. At that time, therefore, on this night, many people in the capital secretly made a move. Before the wedding, Li Hongyuan settled the matter and rested in the study. Now, of course he would not do that. He slept best with Jingwan in his arms, so why should he endure poor sleep? When he slept with his wife in his arms, even if the sky fell down, he would wait until he woke up. Li Hongyuan tidied up and went to bed. When he was close to Jingwan, Jingwan automatically leaned over. "Did a Yuan go out?" Jingwan said, half asleep, her voice a little hoarse. "Yes, I was dealing with something. Did I disturb you?" Li Hongyuan pulled her into his arms and smoothed her hair. "Go to sleep." "Okay." Jingwan responded in a low voice. Soon, she woke up from her dream. The next day, noble consort Su indeed sent someone to summon Jingwan to the palace. Li Hongyuan originally wanted to accompany her to the palace, but Jingwan refused. She smiled and said, "This harem is a woman's battlefield. Noble consort Su wants to be a good mother. If she doesn't pull you in, I can naturally be a good wife. Don't worry, Your Highness, I can deal with it. I may not be as good as noble consort Su in those dirty tricks, but I'm not afraid of her. Although Your Highness can shelter me from the wind and rain, I'd rather walk side by side with Your Highness than be a daughter flower attached to you. Moreover, these days are too comfortable. It's too boring without any wind or waves." Jingwan's words in fact expressed her attitude, to walk side by side. Li Hongyuan smiled and kissed her forehead. "I'm looking forward to it." He knew that Jingwan was open-minded. He was willing to protect her for a lifetime. In a situation where there was no danger, he didn't mind Jingwan showing her ability and talent. Although there wasn't any space for her to show off, she still wanted to find some fun and adjust her life. Entering the palace today wasn't a big deal, so he was naturally willing to help her. Usually, Jingwan didn't put on much makeup, but today, she put on simple makeup. The originally bright and moving Jean Qin Wang Fei became a bit haggard. Her expression was a bit sorrowful, like a blooming flower that was a bit wilted. Li Hongyuan raised his eyebrows. Wan Wan's makeup is also very good. If it was a bit darker, it would be comparable to a disguise. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he definitely wouldn't have known that it was also makeup. People who hadn't seen it before would definitely be easily fooled. It's just a little trick. Thus, Jingwan entered the palace while Li Hongyuan continued to grow moldy in the prince's mansion. Only he himself knew whether he was really growing moldy or not. When he was scheming against others, would he still shout out loudly? Jingwan entered the palace and directly went to the Jade Essence Palace. The atmosphere in the Jade Essence Palace was a bit wrong. When they saw Jingwan's appearance, it was even more wrong. Jingwan entered the main hall of the Jade Essence Palace and found that there were still several imperial concubines present. These were the sisters-in-law who received the big gift yesterday. Did they enter the palace early in the morning to complain to their respective imperial mother? Ah, daughter-in-law greets imperial mother, greets imperial concubines. Quickly get up. What's wrong with you, child? Why is your complexion so bad? Imperial concubine Su asked with concern. I've made imperial mother worry. Daughter-in-law just didn't sleep well last night. It's fine. Jingwan smiled faintly. Thinking about it, Jean Wang Fei just got married and is tired. One of the imperial concubines covered her mouth and laughed. However, although this person is young, she can't be too indulgent. In the end, women can't compare to men. Wang Fei should leave 2 more people to share. Isn't it just giving the person to your son? This is trying to use beauty to hook them up. It's really not that serious. Speaking of which, as a prince, Which one hasn't seen countless beauties? If it's that easy to indulge in them, then there's no need to mingle. What's the point of doing errands? Just go home and drink yourself to death. Jingwan pretended not to understand. Her eyes were still a bit defensive. It seemed that she was absent-minded and didn't hear it at all. Imperial concubine Su was also fed up. This early in the morning, she came to her and chirped. Her words were all about her new daughter-in-law being jealous and not virtuous. Because Jean Wangye was greedy for flowers, she couldn't bear to see other couples have a good relationship. Using a beauty to drive a wedge between other people's feelings, her thoughts were really vicious. She didn't care about these, but she also vaguely mentioned the matter of releasing a concubine, which made people angry. Jingwan also didn't know what these people were thinking. If she knew, these people's imagination was also very strong. However, Imperial concubine Su was also secretly examining Jingwan. Forcing her son to write a concubine release letter, such a great shame and humiliation. How could she, as his mother, not be angry? But in the end, she endured it. However, through this point, it was clear that the Luo family didn't care about Luo Jingying as much as they imagined. Perhaps, everything was a facade made by that old thing, Luo Peishan. That old thing was also very powerful to be able to deceive them. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so ruthless in the matter of Luo Jingying. Speaking of which, Li Hongming had suffered a loss in this aspect. In the future, she was afraid that he would restrain himself a bit. In this aspect, Imperial concubine Su also reprimanded him a bit. But she didn't think about it. Her own attitude towards Luo Jingying was also to treat it as a plaything. Although she didn't despise or disdain it, she was also perfunctory and didn't care about it. At this time, she was just giving advice after the fact. How could she not know what kind of virtue her son had? If she wanted to take care of it, she should have taken care of it long ago. Think about it. If people knew that Prince Rue was a cold-blooded and heartless person who coaxed and deceived a girl who had value, and completely disliked her when she had no value, who would betroth her to such a cold-blooded and heartless person? Speaking of which, wouldn't he have the same attitude towards those who were willing to help him? Then, who would dare to help him? Imperial concubine Su softly called out to Jingwan twice, but there was no response. Anger flashed through her eyes. Princess consort Jean. Jingwan seemed to be startled for a moment. She regained her senses. Sorry, Imperial concubine mother, this daughter-in-law was distracted. This child, what's wrong with you? Jingwan smiled, but it was a bit forced. One of my younger sisters got into a serious accident. The doctor said that her chances of survival were slim. Last night, she had a dream, and the dream kept tossing and turning about. She said that she was afraid of the dark and was afraid of loneliness. She didn't want to leave like this, and she wanted the person she loved the most to compensate her. This daughter-in-law asked her who the person she loved the most was, but she didn't say. After going around in circles for an entire night, she finally said that she would personally look for that person. Imperial concubine Su's face was a bit dark, but in the end, she managed to calm down. Jingwan was quite curious about what she was thinking. Speaking of which, it seemed that the people from Qi Yuan also believed in ghosts and gods. Should she make a fuss about this? Imperial concubine Su knew that this matter couldn't be discussed openly. These sluts were here to see her make a fool of herself. How could she let them do as they wished? How was the banquet held at Jin Qin Wang Fu yesterday? Very good. Bengong heard that you sent some courtesans to your sisters-in-law? It's better to be happy together than to be happy alone. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653406. HTML click here to report an error. Registration is not required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bicken.com. Bicken.com Mobile Edition. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.